Just checking that we're unmuted again. And we're good to go. Good evening, everyone. Before we begin, I want to address yesterday's awful events. It is a huge relief to us all that nobody was hurt. And I think that many in the crypto community will agree with me when I say that we're here with you, Mr. President, during these trying times. Your unwavering support for our community has not gone unnoticed, and we're immensely grateful for it. And really, the fact that after all of this, you've chosen to proceed with this interview blows my mind. It speaks volume, Mr. President, and thank you for being here tonight.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate the remarks. It was quite something, but it worked out well, and Secret Service did an excellent job. And they have the man behind bars, and hopefully he's going to be there for a long time. Dangerous person, very, very dangerous person. But I appreciate the comments very much.
Well, I appreciate you for allowing me to interview you in your wonderful Mar-a-Lago home, which is truly an honor, and I'm very grateful for it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Mr. President, I can say that myself, like I was saying, the crypto community and millions of Americans are relieved that you're here with us today after the second attempt on your life at the Trump National Golf Club. It's just horrifying. Can you run us through what happened?
So I was playing golf with some of my friends. It was on a Sunday morning, and very peaceful, very beautiful weather. Everything was beautiful. It was a nice place to be. And all of a sudden we heard shots being fired in the air, and I guess probably 4 or 5. And it sounded like bullets, but what do I know about that? But Secret Service knew immediately it was bullets. And they grabbed me, and I think probably the other one, Steve is one of the people, Steve Witkoff, a great friend of mine, a great businessman from mostly New York and Florida, great businessman, and more importantly, just a fantastic person. So we're in the group, and everybody we got into the carts, and we moved along pretty good. I was with an agent, and the agent did a fantastic job. There was no question that we were off that course. I would have loved to have sank that last putt, but we decided, well, let's get out of here. And what the gunfire was actually, interestingly, was a Secret Service agent had seen a barrel of a AK-47, which is a very powerful rifle, and he started shooting at the barrel, started shooting. It was in the bushes.
Wow.
Could only see the barrel. How good is that, right? But could only see the barrel. Based on that, he started shooting and ran toward the target and was shooting a lot of, those were the shots we heard. The other one never got a shot off. And he ran across the street and grabbed his car, hopped into his truck.
Wow.
Because you wouldn't want to have somebody like that out there.
No.
He dropped his gun, the AK-47. He left his gun. He left cameras behind, left a lot of things behind. So the agent did a fantastic job. The civilian did a phenomenal job. A woman. Who would think you could take 1,000 times like that? How many people would have the brain power to follow him and take pictures of the back of his truck so that they end up getting, and the key was the license. So they got the license, and after they had the license, there's all sorts of technology where they can literally pinpoint where this truck is. I never knew something like that existed. And they pinpointed him on the highway. They got him with a high-speed chase. So they got him. It was amazing. So Secret Service did a great job. And I think I can say honestly, the sheriff's office, law enforcement, everybody really did a great job.
Incredible.
Very happy about that.
That's incredible to hear.
Thank you.
And backup question to that second fold is, this was the second attempt in your life in under 2 months. What do you make of that?
Well, there's a lot of rhetoric going on.
Right.
A lot of people think that the Democrats, when they talk about threat to democracy and all of this, and it seems that both of these people were radical lefts. The first one, they should learn more about. They have apps that they haven't opened yet, which is pretty strange.
Right.
And the father went out and got the biggest lawyer in the state of Pennsylvania, which is pretty strange, about the father of the shooter we're talking about in Butler, the first one. And that's pretty strange. There are a couple of pretty strange things going on there. I can say this, the Secret Service was very brave in the sense that bullets were flying, and when I went down, I purposely went down. I saw what was happening, and people are probably screaming. I'm not sure if I recognized that, but I went down, and Secret Service, they were right there with bullets flying right at them, and they weren't hit, but three other people were: Corey, a firefighter, and two other gentlemen who they thought died. And actually, the doctors in Butler were unbelievable. They saved their lives. And we've actually raised a lot of money for the families and family of Corey and the two gentlemen. And they both lived. They thought they were dead. The first thing I asked when I came up, I said, how many people are dead? Because we had a massive crowd. And with all those bullets flying, so three got hit. But there was a great display of bravery. I mean, it was incredible. Normally, the crowd experts will tell you when they hear bullets, and we heard a lot of bullets going off.
Right.
A crowd would. This was a massive crowd. You couldn't even see the end of it in a big field, and that the crowd always runs. They call it a stampede, like cattle. I mean, they stampede, and a lot of people get killed when they stampede. But they hear bullets, but nobody ran.
They all
Nobody.
stayed.
Tens of thousands of people. Nobody ran. In fact, you can see it in the small group behind me. There was a group of probably a couple of hundred people behind me, and nobody ran. In fact, they're standing up. Some of them are standing up looking for the shooter. The other one has to get credit to local law enforcement. It was a gentleman that shimmied up to the roof, looked, saw the man with a gun, and probably made him go faster than he would normally go. And so he didn't exactly hit the target the way he wanted. There's something going on. I mean, perhaps it's God wanting me to be president to save this country. Nobody knows, but when I made the right turn, it's very unusual because the people weren't on the right. The people were standing out in front of me. When I turned my head at an exact 90-degree angle, the bullet came zooming by and clipped my ear. And the reason so much blood, they told me at the hospital, I said, why so much? The ear is the bloodiest part of the body because of cartilage. He was giving me a whole description. I said, you don't have to tell me, but it was a mess. But amazing bravery shown, amazing talent, like the doctor saving the two men that were hit. They were hit really badly. I won't tell you exactly what happened to them. They were hit badly. And they both lived. Corey didn't make it. Corey was in bad shape. We had a person from the National Guard about 10 seats over from Corey run to his aid, and he was hitting the head, with all of that, was giving him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation because he was still alive.
Wow.
And people couldn't believe it. They thought it was such an incredible act. Who would do it? It would, just an amazing thing. And we're going to take care of him too, because just the fact that he could do it, and some other people. So it was amazing bravery. There was a mistake made, a bad mistake. That one building was unmanned on top.
Very.
And that was a mistake. There's nothing you can say about it. But that was some crazy day. And then yesterday you had another one with a different result. Actually, much better result, because we lost Corey, and two gentlemen were very badly hurt, but they're in pretty good shape now. Right. A lot of talent. Those local doctors up there had tremendous talent.
Love to hear that. Well, this is more of a personal question.
Okay.
Just turned 30 last week. We were just chit-chatting outside the room here. Young entrepreneur, son, aspiring father one day. Mm-hmm. With all of your success, you have a wonderful family. A couple of your sons are actually looking at us right now. You have a wonderful business for yourself, a wonderful life for yourself. You could be on the golf course without worrying about gunmen coming at you. But after multiple attempts at your life, you're still here. You've already been president of the United States of America once. You're about to be president of the United States of America again.
I hope so.
We hope so. Why do you do this? What motivates you?
So we have a country that's in trouble, a country that I love. I love the people of this country, people like Corey, who were just this massive Trump fan, and he got hit. But people like that, they're in love with the country, and they hate seeing what's happened to the country when you have 21 million people pouring in from all countries all over the world, from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums. Insane asylums, and they are different. Even prisons and jails, they are different. One's a little more severe than the next. They're coming in as terrorists, and they're coming into our country at levels that nobody's ever seen, and they're taking over our towns, and they're taking over small cities and big cities. I mean, look at New York, look at Chicago, look at LA. Tens of thousands of these people, and they're rough people in many cases. I mean, they are rough, tough people. Venezuela gangs. If you look at Aurora in Colorado, you have a governor that doesn't know what he's doing. He's petrified to be there. He doesn't know what to say. I mean, they're literally taking over real estate. They're becoming real estate developers in a much different way, right? They're taking over buildings. Everyone's afraid of them. And they have a big AK, talking about AK-47s. That's what they have. They carry massive guns. You say, where would they get this kind of power? And they're vicious people. They're gang members from Venezuela, largely, and known as being one of the roughest gangs anywhere in the world. You have MS-13, which is a bad gang, and you have these guys. And we're going to clean them out. We're going to get them out. But the bottom line, just to answer it quickly, I love the country. We're going to make America great again, and we'll be able to do it. We did it once, and we'll do it again, and much easier this time. The border is in much worse shape than it's ever been. This is the worst border there's ever been in any country. They have not done the job that they have to do. I mean, you have Kamala. She was the border czar. I call her the comrade because she's a Marxist. She wants to tax everybody out of business. She wants to raise taxes to 70, 80%. She wants an unrealized capital gain tax, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Nobody's ever even heard of such a thing. And they'll put everybody out of business. We'll end up in a depression if she gets in. And very simply, though, we're going to make America great again, greater than ever before. And I love doing it.
Being from Canada, I can probably relate to what that means.
Yeah. We've got some problems.
A crypto entrepreneur based in Montreal here, so it's it's not always the best feeling as someone who's trying to build something out of nothing here. Speaking of which, I'm wondering now. I know this is quite different, right? But I know many people in crypto feel this way as we're trying to change the financial system. Quite literally, we're trying to change things and make a difference, but it always feels like there's some sort of a force against us. In your case, do you feel similarly that there's a force out there to get you?
Well, you have a radical left force, and we have forces. I say that we have a lot of evil in the world. The world is a nasty place, and you can see that with some of the things that have happened. We've been treated, I think, very unfairly, but I've done so well. It's an amazing country in some ways, but we have evil forces. You have the outside forces with the enemies, and you call them Russia, China, various places. I don't know that they're enemies. I think we'll get along great with China. I think we'll get along great with Russia. I want to get Russia to settle up with Ukraine and stop this. Millions of people being killed, far greater than the number you read about. But I want to get that done before I even take office. I want to get that done as president-elect because it has to be solved. Too many people dying. Too many cities are just in rubble right now. You look at the culture is just being destroyed. Mm-hmm. We got to get that done, and I'll get it done. There wouldn't have been an October 7th. There wouldn't have been Russia attacking Ukraine. There wouldn't be inflation. All this inflation, which has hurt people so badly. You wouldn't have had that horrible type of withdrawal we were getting out of Afghanistan, but with dignity and strength. That was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And frankly, Russia would have never gone into Ukraine if it weren't for that. They looked at that and they said, this country is no longer run by Trump. This country is run by stupid people. And we have a great military. I took out ISIS in 4 weeks. And everyone said it was going to take 4 or 5 years. I took them out in 4. Our military is great, but you have to have the right leadership running it. So the bottom line is that it can be nasty, but it's only going to get worse. If I don't win, it's only going to get worse. It's going to get really bad. We'll end up being Venezuela on steroids. We'll end up in 1929 type depressions. And we have to make sure that this person doesn't get in. This is far worse than Biden. That was if you think of it, that was an overthrow of a president. He won. He had 14 million votes. He had no votes. Crazy Nancy Pelosi walked in and some of the others, and they say, we want you out. He said, I'm not going to get out. I want to run. I was leading him by a lot after the debate, but still he had the right to run. And they literally, it was a coup in the truest sense. This was the first coup of an American president. And I think it's, look, I don't say fair or not fair. He was very nice today. He called up to make sure I was okay, to make sure that, do I have any suggestions or anything? We do need more people on my detail because we have 50, 60,000 people showing up to events, and,
Right.
Other people don't have that. But he couldn't have been nicer. But I thought he was treated really unfairly. He went through a primary system, he won, and then they threw him overboard. And she got no votes. She got no votes. But she'd be very bad for the country. We have to save our country. We can't play games, and we can't have a Marxist, communist president, because that's not what it's all about. So we're going to do it, and we're going to make our country greater than ever before, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to love your crypto. And as long as you have crypto, you're happy. So I know
Absolutely.
what makes you happy. Nothing else but crypto.
Yeah, I mean, when the Twitter Spaces was officially announced and that you put the tweet out, a lot of people were like, "Well, who's this Farokh guy?" And obviously, a lot of people started digging into this Farokh guy, and the main reply that was that I'm just this crypto bro. But you know what, Mr. President, I am a proud crypto bro. And it seems like you're starting to become one of us, if not already. I know for a fact that your children are quite involved in the space. I mean, we have Baron, Don Jr., and Eric on the Twitter Spaces right now. Eric and Don Jr. here, who will be joining us a little later on this programming. But get into crypto now, because I already see the people on Twitter Spaces really eager to hear you talk about this. At the recent Bitcoin conference, you mentioned that, and I quote, "America should be the crypto capital of the world."
Yeah.
That was a big statement, and I believe the correct one. So why is it not right now?
Well, I think it will be right now. Right now, you have a very hostile SEC. I guess you'd have to say, I don't know, when you say administration, do you call it Biden or do you call it Harris? Nobody really knows what to call it, but maybe we'll say a combination of both. But they've been very hostile toward crypto, toward all of it, and extremely hostile, like nobody can believe. Nobody even understands why. My attitude is different. If we don't do it, China's going to do it. China's doing it anyway.
They are.
But if we don't do it, we're not going to be the biggest, and we have to be the biggest and the best. And when you look at values, and when you add it all up, the value of this whole thing is bigger than they were showing me. Your top 20 corporations and all of this, the numbers are just gigantic. It suffers from some credibility lapses. I mean, some things were done or not done, but it's very young and very growing. And if we don't do it, China's going to do it. If we don't do it, other countries are going to do it. A lot of countries would like to be in a position. We have the advantage because it's us. But you have a big advantage because it's me, because I do believe in it. I also know a lot of friends that are really into it. And my kids, I mean, Baron knows so much about this.
Right.
Eric, and Baron's a young guy, but he knows it. He talks about his wallet. He's got 4 wallets or something. And I'm saying, what is a wallet? Explain this to me. But he knows this stuff inside out. And Eric and Don know it so well.
They do.
It's almost like younger people know it a lot better than older people. But I have a lot of respect for them. They've shown great judgment, all of them. And I think you're onto something. You're onto it a lot sooner than most people. It's sort of like it's a fledgling business, and yet it's a massive business. But it has a chance to really be something special. And when I do things, I notice a lot of crypto comes in. People pay with crypto.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't see that even a year ago, 2 years ago. So I think it's really, it's big, and yet it's a fledgling compared to what it will be.
And I love that you're mentioning your children and how Baron is using his wallet. Similar to me, I'm trying to teach my mother how to use it. I send her 1 ETH every Christmas, 1 ETH every birthday, and same for my little Zoomer brother, who probably isn't Baron's age category. So has learning about crypto from your children had an impact on you?
Well, it makes it easier. And it's sort of like a language, I have a beautiful granddaughter, Ivanka's daughter, and she is Arabella. She speaks perfect Chinese.
Wow.
And their other 2 children, 2 great young boys, they speak perfect Chinese. They learned it when they were 2 and 3 and 4 from a nanny who was Chinese.
That's impressive.
And she was from China. And she would teach Arabella. When President Xi was here, President Xi couldn't believe it. She walked up to him and had a perfect conversation. And I said, so how did she do? He said, as good as any 10-year-old girl in Beijing. I remember that statement. I mean, she speaks it perfectly, but she learned it at a very young age.
Wow.
If you're going to learn, if it's China or Japan or any language,
Right.
it's not that easy to do.
No.
But as a child, it's almost like a natural. So it's a little bit like that, I think, with crypto. Now, I think crypto is a lot easier,
Right.
if you want to know the truth. But there is a learning curve. And yeah, my kids really understood it, and they understood it pretty much right at the beginning.
Yeah, we were chatting with Eric in the back, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, this is really awesome."
He knows. Yeah.
Oh, we're about to hear all about your son's crypto endeavors and how much they know about it, which is really cool. I just came back from Asia. I was at the Korea Blockchain Week and at WebEx in Japan, and over there at the moment everybody's in Singapore tuning live to listen to us live on Spaces for Token 2049. What's impressive in the East is that crypto is not the future; it's the present. Whereas when I come here and in Canada and North, it feels like I'm being taken aback. So the question I have for you, following up on what I was asking earlier, is why is it so important for America to lead in cryptocurrency adoption and innovation?
Well, it's crypto, it's AI, it's so
Right.
many other things. AI, speaking of an interesting future, it needs tremendous electricity capability beyond anything I've ever heard. It never made sense to me, but this is what it needs. If you take all of the electricity coming out of the US, in order to be dominant in AI, you need twice that amount just for this one thing. Who would think that? You need twice the electricity we already have. And you got to get started. I mean, you have to be, if you're the US, you have to get started.
Right.
You don't want to be left in the dust. And China's already building electric plants, and they want to build them for the AI, and it's very important. But you need tremendous electric, and in this country, because of our strong environmental impact statement problems that we have, China doesn't have those problems. They don't do them. They just build. They said, build over here,
Right.
build over there. With us, you have to go through years. But I'll make it possible to create tremendous amounts of electricity very rapidly. But people don't know that. People don't know that you need double the electricity of what we already have. So you want to get in, whether it's crypto or AI or other things that are coming along, and it's part of the game. We want to have a great country. We want to stay at the top. We're making things now. We're starting, and it started under my administration, that there was no chance of ever even getting involved in for a long time.
Right.
And we're leading the pack in so many ways. One of the things I'm very proud of is Space Force. We were getting lapped in space by China and by Russia, and now we are the leader in space. And I have to tell you, Elon is doing a fantastic job. He's my friend. He endorsed me for president, like so strongly. It was incredible. But he is doing an amazing job with respect to space. When you look up, I think somebody said he sends 90% of the rockets sent up throughout the world are his.
Wow.
And you got to hand it to him. He's something.
He definitely is. Wish he was here, but at least we're using his. We'll get him. We're definitely using his platform to do so, and I'm sure there's a reason for that. So, to create this future we're talking about, right? Like, there's a lot of American entrepreneurs, founders in crypto that need to sadly leave the country because it feels like at times we're being treated like we're not really welcome to build companies here. The CEO of our company over at Rug Radio was actually debanked earlier last year, but we'll get into that later. Do you think it's important for America to have a legal framework for crypto so that businesses can thrive and survive here?
I do, and they should have certain safeguards too. Maybe somebody would say that's a bad thing to say, but no, it can't be totally freewheeling. And I spoke to some of the big crypto people, they want safeguards, they want certain safeguards. But it's a very hostile environment right now, from what I understand. The SEC has been extremely hostile and really going after people. And I think, frankly, since they heard I was involved, they've treated people much better. Maybe they view it as votes. But people that were under serious investigation for having done nothing wrong are all of a sudden not allowed to go free. And I really believe that's because they see, this is a very big market. This is a very powerful market. Very. So I'm glad I helped. If I helped, I don't know, maybe I didn't. But the SEC has been unbelievably hostile. The one thing is that if for some reason bad things happen and we don't win, the election, those people that were under investigation and that are free as a bird right now, and people that weren't being looked at in the crypto world, they will be living in hell because it'll start the day after the election if they win. And I view it differently. I mean, I just view it that we have to be the top no matter what we do.
Right.
Chips or anything else, we were really starting to go with the chips. We have to be number one. And I think AI is really important, but I think crypto's one of those things we have to do. Whether we like it or not, we
Right.
have to do it.
It's really, really cool to hear it from you in person. We've only heard it on TV and newspaper, et cetera, but it feels good to know that a presidential candidate and someone who is already president of the United States of America feel this way about cryptocurrency. I'm sure myself and a lot of people in the industry are relieved to hear that, and I will see what the results are in November. But on something a little lighter now, I remember the day your NFT collections came out. That was super cool. So I host a morning show called FOMO Hour with my friend OSF and Mando and now Tyler. And so we were live on air when the link dropped. And so it was the very, very first collection. There was a chance to have dinner with you. And I remember just like scrambling to buy them. We're staying live. We stopped the show live on air to thousands of people like, no, we got to buy these. We're going to buy these. I got to spend $25K on this. Let's go. Right. Let's do it. Which is another cool thing about people in crypto, right? Or there's crypto bros that they call. And so we're trying to buy these things. And it was just so electric and crazy that we actually failed. But hey, I guess that's a good thing because the collection, ended up selling out, and then you ended up doing, I believe, you ended up doing that 3 times over. Can you tell us more about the success that you have had with NFTs, but also like, did that surprise you?
Well, I got in very late, and NFT was considered cold. I mean, to be honest, it was a cold industry. It had its day a few years before, as you probably know. But when I did it, I said, what do we have to do with anything else? And it's playing cards and some beautiful artwork and other things. And we went out with 45,000 NFTs, and it was amazing. We thought it would take 6 months, maybe a year to sell. It sold out. I don't want to get myself in trouble by saying exactly the first day, but pretty close to it. It was like almost immediately.
It was quick.
Yeah.
Like we failed every transaction.
Right. Almost immediately. And then we did a second one likewise. And then we did a third one. And then we just did a fourth one. And I asked the people from the first 3, I said, well, do you want to have us do? Because, they have they have very big pride to start off with. But I said, are you going to, if we do a fourth one, does that affect you and the ones you already own? Because some people bought a lot of them and some people bought one. And they're all very happy, really happy. I said, does it affect you? And everybody, it was like sort of a phone poll, just like, and everybody wanted the fourth one, which surprised me because you would think they wouldn't want the fourth one because maybe it waters down their own pieces that they have. And they did. They wanted it, and they wanted it badly. So we did a fourth and just did it recently, and I think it's just about gone. It's amazing. And one of the things I know, the crypto played a big role because they paid.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we're not getting checks with dollars. We're getting crypto.
It's instant.
Instantly, yeah. It's been, and that taught me a little bit about what you love. It taught me something that was incredible. We did the NFTs. It was so cool. People said, don't do it. You're not going to.
I'm sure.
And we did it, and it sold. Literally, we had anywhere from 6 months to a year, and I think we did it in a day or something.
No, it was that.
Right?
It was quick.
Yeah.
It was quick, and you know what? It was fun. That's what it was.
It is fun.
It was a lot of fun. So I'm aware that you probably have a million things to get to. So I kind of want to finish off with a couple more questions for you, Mr. President. So first and foremost, were the NFTs a big part of the story, of your story, of how you came to see the value in digital assets?
A little bit, because so many people paid this way. If they would have been paying in dollars, I would have said, that's standard. I would have assumed. And I was blown away. I wasn't overly interested in it, to be honest, but I did ask, like, what percentage was taken between Bitcoin and all of the other things, but through crypto, and it was a massive majority, and I was a little surprised by that. And that was a while ago now, and it opened my eyes. But I think my children opened my eyes more than anything else. Wow. And plus, I have a friend on my right who's a very smart guy, and he's not quite as young as his fantastic son, who we're dealing with, Alex, and all of them. But he knows a lot about this stuff for a man of his age. He's still pretty young, but for a man of his age, Steve Witkoff knows a lot about this.
He definitely does. And he's sitting on your right. We're about to get to Steve Witkoff. And for everybody in the audience right now, if you're listening to us live, hang tight. I have one more question for Mr. President, and then we're going to be joined by Don Jr., Eric Trump, and the World Liberty Financial teams, and Corey and everybody, the advisors around it. So we have quite the programming for you. But Mr. President, one last question that you may or may not have answered with your last answer here is, so if there was one thing that got you to see crypto differently, what was it?
If it was what?
One thing that got you to see crypto differently. What was it?
Well, maybe the NFTs. You sort of brought that up because I was surprised again at the percentage of them that were sold through that form. You could do a new form of currency. You could call it anything you want, but that was. I think it was also the level of enthusiasm that my young sons have for this. Pretty young guys. I mean, one's extremely young and two are pretty young, right? But the level of enthusiasm they have for crypto.
Yeah.
And also just to add a third element, I have a lot of friends, very smart people, and they're believers. So it means something to me.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. Everybody hang tight, please. I will go to Mr. Witkoff in a second, and we'll be joining by the next set of guests. But Mr. President, it's an honor. Thank you for having me. And honestly, the fact that you've done this the day after a second assassination attempt means the world to me. Just a little 30-year-old boy from Montreal that, started from just hosting Twitter Spaces, now hosting yourself. So thank you for allowing me to do so.
Great job. Thank you very much.
Everybody hang tight. We'll be right back. And we are back over here. That was quite a great interview with President Trump, wasn't it, everyone? Yeah. There you go. We got this room packed with people. Everybody's still here. Hang tight. Don't leave. Keep sharing. I want to see those retweets because the State of the Crypto address at Mar-a-Lago is still on over here. I have Steve Witkoff on my right, who has to run, to Fox, right?
Fox.
Is that where you're headed next, Hannity? All right. I got the opener for Hannity. That's pretty cool. That's not bad, right? That's like opening for like Led Zeppelin or something. I don't know. So Steve, I'm just going to go chat with you real quick, and then we'll get to our other guests. First and foremost, you were with President Trump yesterday on the golf course.
Yeah.
As he was trying to sink that last putt, as President Trump was saying. But how do you feel?
I feel blessed that I was out there because I got to see what he has to live his daily life like. 2 assassination attempts in the last 2 months. He's been conspired against. He's been vilified. He ought to be commended for his 4 years of public service as a president. And I was glad I could be out there and see what it was about for him. He was as courageous a man he is as courageous a man as I've ever seen. He cared about his friends first. He asked about his friends first. And it was inspiring to watch him.
Yeah, thank you for
And the Secret Service, I would echo what he said.
Right.
They were incredible. They put their lives on the line for him.
Wow. It's incredible that he's just back up today and just
It's who he
running the
is.
circuit.
He's resilient. He's stoic. And
Very.
who wouldn't want those qualities in a leader? He is a natural born leader.
So to go back now to what we're here to talk about, and we're going to get into the weeds of it a little more. So how did this collaboration happen? I know it's an incredible story. Could you walk me through it?
My son introduced me to 2 partners, Chase Hero and Zach Folkman, who are exceptionally bright people. They look a little different than us because they dress a little different than us because that's the crypto
A few more
world.
tattoos.
Right? I have 1 or 2 tattoos, but Chase,
really?
Chase
Really?
yeah, I have it's hard to see here.
That's okay.
But I have a tattoo of my son who I lost, Andrew. Both of my tattoos are of him. I actually think he's the one who put me out with the president yesterday, so I could witness his courage and talk about him to the American public. But I was introduced to Chase and to Zach, and I met traders from all over the world. And these guys are as smart as any currency traders I've ever met. And they began talking to me about decentralized finance, which means frictionless finance, and why it made sense for people, and about the forgotten who can't get credit out there. Credit is what drives the American economy. And as I began to understand it, I said, who would understand this better than the Trump family? And so we had a meeting initially with Eric, Don Jr., and the president and his counsel. And we said, let's go pursue it. We've been on it for close to 9 months, spent a lot of time on diligence with really, really good lawyers on how to operate in the space.
Right.
And here we are today, the culmination of a pretty robust effort.
So do you think that this could really change the way wealth is created in America?
I think decentralized finance is the way of the future.
Right.
If you think about the fact that if you want to borrow money today, you have to be almost anointed. You have to be a member of the privileged class. I remember when I left law, I represented the president. I wanted to be in business. It was very, very hard to get credit, and credit, again, is what drives us. Crypto allows it to happen. Decentralized finance as an application of crypto allows it to happen. So, and we see, as a business venture, a huge approachable class of people who have been either debanked, as you talked about, or they don't have a bank that they can go to, and they don't have a bank that will listen to them. And so we look at it as a business venture, and we say we can democratize it, we can be more egalitarian about it, and at the same time, we can probably do very well in it because there is a large group of people who can't gain credit in the system. And isn't that unfortunate that young people with great ideas, they can't prosecute those ideas? That's a terrible thing. That's not a good thing. That's not the American dream.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Wyckoff, for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And so up next, of course, Don Jr., if you want to, however you guys want to set up here, we got a whole programming for y'all here. So really hang tight. We're filming the whole thing. Everything's going to be broadcasted live a little later on video as well. Everybody's looking great. over here.
That's most important, right? As
Right,
long
that's
as we
the
look
most
good. I
important.
mean, I'm liking your hair, the flow.
Thank you.
It's pretty solid.
There was some polls going online around like who's got better hair. Would it be President Trump or myself? I think your father has an incredible flow. I have to give it to him.
As a Trump who may or may not one day inherit the Trump hair genes, I don't make fun. I don't mock it because you never know. One day I could wait. So far I'm 46. I'm doing pretty good on the hair department.
No
yeah,
way.
I'm an old man.
There's no chance.
Yeah, look at that white in the beard. Still haven't had the white in the hair, and I'm not vain enough to dye it. So we're good so far.
Well, you're gonna have to share your secrets with us maybe after the stream, because I'm getting old. My knees are hurting from being 30 years old.
Yeah, it's rough.
I'm right there with you.
It gets a lot worse, bud. I promise you. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
This thing I miss most about youth is just not waking up sore every day for no reason whatsoever. It's yeah.
Oh my. Anyway, so let's get right into this. I mean, Don, your traditional banking systems, have not been working for many Americans. This is something that you speak about a lot. It's something that Mr. Witkoff talked about, and that your father talks about, and all of you at this stage. I talked earlier about how my company's been debanked. My CEO has been debanked, and he's an American citizen from Texas. Got a call one day and said, "Hey, come pick up your money, and we're gonna send it to you by the mail. Here's a check." Said, "No. I'm gonna come pick it up." To me, it was insane that this is even an option, and we're talking about someone who has some money, right? Yeah. And so I know your family is very familiar with being debanked. So how does DeFi fix these problems?
Well, listen, I mean, I think, I was probably a late adapter into some of, these technologies in the sense that, I was a traditional real estate guy. We were bricks and mortar. And, there was a time period where, the Trumps, we could have picked up the phone and called any CEO of any bank and gotten a loan from anyone in the world on any project and, low LTVs and everything like that. Then we got into the political arena and like that, it was turned off. I mean, it wasn't that we didn't have incredible balance sheets. It wasn't that we didn't have, the reserves. I mean, I've had it for some of my personal businesses. Same story as your partner. I mean, I had an operating business with a partner, and he calls me one morning. It happened to be the day of like CPAC, 2 years ago. And he calls me, he's like, our operating account has no money in it. I think we got hacked. I go, what do you mean we got hacked? It was PNC Bank. I mean, this is a major bank, and whatever it is, this is a legit business. Small business. It was a little media company just to sort of aggregate news that was not being shown to people otherwise. And he calls bank like, listen, I think we got hacked. Oh, no, you weren't hacked. We just don't want to do business with you. They didn't. They broke up with us by mail. They didn't even call us. Like, we didn't even get the call. They just like, oh yeah, there's a cashier's check. You'll have it in the mail in a couple days. But we got an operating business. We got payroll. We got what are you talking about? So we went from being able to pick up the phone to anyone to having the same thing happen. We've had family members that have had 7-figure accounts with specific banks. Be like, well, I just want to use some of that money to get a home loan for this. Will you write the rest of the loan? No, that's too risky for us. It's like, we have more money in the account than the value of the home. What are you talking about? It's too risky. But,
obviously,
it's interesting because we went from being sort of, people that would have been, the elite in that world to just being like totally canceled. And it changed our perspective so much. I think we understand what so many Americans are going through. And when you really look at America and our foundation, the way our founding fathers set everything up, I think DeFi would be what they would envision, not, a broken, bureaucratized system where, a bunch of middlemen are getting pieces and VIGs for doing nothing, for pushing paper, which creates not just sort of a lot of waste and inefficiency, but, really has become a politicized process. And we see that. And again, that only goes one way. You can say that I'm, this incredible radical, but, I get called that all the time. I mean, I don't know. I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I have a pretty good finance background. We built and changed the skyline of New York as a family and some cities in the world. I think first time I got invited back to speak at Wharton I was like 28 years old. I didn't know anything probably by then. I still didn't know anything. I'll say that for the record. But I think we've learned a lot since then. And now, that same access isn't available to us. So for me, and so much of what we've done, and really so much of what's been, a part of our political journey is that, creating actual fairness in these systems that have been, truly bastardized and politicized. I mean, we witnessed it firsthand because it's like you had whatever you wanted, and that was just ripped away from us in an instant. And we're a family that we're blessed to have the means to be able to do a lot of things. We're blessed to be able to have, for someone who doesn't have that power or the soapbox or the balance sheet. What do they do? How do they finance it? And so it's a real problem that needed to be addressed. And honestly, I think this is the way. This is the way of the future. This is the way to eliminate that efficiency. A lot of it being peer-to-peer and not going through the usual bureaucratized system. So I think everything that's been talked about right now is so important. But like for me, this is about like how we save so much of what I believe our founding fathers really intended for our country.
So I was going to ask you something that you answered. I was going to ask you, has banking become political in the USA? Clearly, it seems that you seem to think it did.
Like not seems. It is.
It is.
It has become politicized. You can look at that, whether it's, spreads, whether it's rates, who can get what. That's been going on for a long time. And, it's sad and it's disgusting.
So I was going to ask you if it affects the everyday American, which you did. You get into that already.
Yeah.
So then the question is, if this all affects the everyday American, to me, cryptocurrency is freedom.
Yeah.
This is why I do what I do.
Correct.
I own my money on my ledger. Nobody can take it away from me.
Correct.
So how does DeFi help the everyday American?
Well, listen, I think it takes, that political, component out of it. I mean, and you see that, right? I mean, if you look at, the leading edge of Silicon Valley and the people doing these things, these are longtime Democrat donors that have come over and flipped sides because the Democrat Party itself isn't willing to give up the power and that control that they want over everyone's balance sheet, over their banking, over these systems. They see crypto as a threat, to the political power that they've built. And I mean, that's why, again, not necessarily, I'm not talking about the minions, they all work there, they're going to be woke and whatever that is. But if you look at a lot of the leaders in Silicon Valley, whether it's VC or otherwise, they're flipping sides because they understand that they are for that freedom. That freedom has allowed them to live that American dream. That's allowed them to do these things. And I think that's a real threat politically from the other side right now. And so it's been interesting to watch that transformation. But I think, this ability for everyone to have that, clean start, no politicization, I think that's everything. And I can say that as someone who's been, still blessed, but still incredibly impacted. I can only imagine how much more difficult it is for someone that doesn't have sort of, let's call it the natural head start that we have, having worked as a family business for 40-something years.
Right. So I know many people in crypto, right, who may not have supported your father before that have flipped camp, right? Recognize the benefits of his leadership now. And maybe that'll even change after tonight's address, especially with his strong stance on crypto, which is quite positive. Why do you think this is happening now? And what message do you have for people who weren't in your camp before, but might be considering joining it because of how open you are to tech and innovation?
Well, listen, I think the facts speak for themselves, right? If you're looking at it just purely from a political standpoint, I mean, the Republican Party, the conservative side of things are clearly the people that are okay with said freedom, right? The other side, and I don't want to make it just political because it's not. I mean, it's finance, but ultimately, your balance sheet, your ability to transact in these things, will be affected by politics, right? One side is the side of censorship. They're the side that wants to jail their political opponents. They want to overregulate everything so much that you actually eliminate so many of the natural and great things that people love about crypto. I do think, as to what my father was saying earlier, people want a framework. They want some regulation. We've been on this journey now for 9 months-ish.
Yeah.
We could talk to a lawyer, be like, hey, this is the trend. Well, we don't know. Is it this or is it that? What's the safe bet? And there's still a lot of ambiguity out there. I think people do need an understanding and a framework, but they don't want such a framework that it's so overregulated, so over-controlled that you actually just end up in, a digitized version of what we have today with all of the problems, all of the bureaucracy, all of the waste, and all of the inefficiency. And so, I think, if you're thinking about these things, if you're thinking about your financial security and that ability to transact freely, like, honestly, is that even, it's sort of a no-brainer at this point. I mean, the people are not, they're not hiding their thoughts. No. I get it. It's probably that people are going to tell you what they want to hear right now to get elected and they'll change. We've seen a long history of that, but they're basically saying the quiet parts out loud as it relates to overregulation. You saw what my father did in his first administration as it relates to cutting regulation, the excessive bureaucracy, eliminating a lot of that red tape. It's not to say I think everyone actually wants some structure, just not so much structure that it negates everything we're trying to accomplish.
I mean, any structure will help. And this
Yeah, no, you need it. Like we're doing this at a high level with some of the
Anything helps.
highest priced lawyers in the world, and it's still like there's still ambiguity, and you're still dealing with. Well, we're not really
one lawyer
sure.
tells you one thing, one lawyer tells you another thing. You know, and it's not their fault. They just don't know better because they're not being given the legal framework,
Correct.
right? So speaking of framework, and you know, speaking of DeFi, you know, we were just speaking to your father, Zach, who's obviously a real estate, you know, tycoon and someone who, you know, has moved, you know, enormous markets here in Florida, in New York, et cetera, and is now extremely interested in the world of DeFi, et cetera. And he gave you all the credits. Actually, I don't know if you were in the room, but he gave you all the kudos. You and your brother saying that you really got him involved in the space, right?
That's kind.
Right. So Zach, like, tell me, like, what do you think, you know, about moving real world assets like real estate on chain? And then tell me more about like the problems, you know, with mortgages and stuff, and how like DeFi specifically solves this, and why I'm asking this, obviously tied into the project.
Yeah, that's a great question, Farokh. A lot to chew off there, but I'll touch on a couple of key topics. First one being transparency. You know, blockchain technology records every transaction on an immutable ledger. And the best real life example I can really come up with this is as it relates to the bond markets, specifically in 2008, where you basically saw all the big banks take all of these junk bonds, package them with AAA rated bonds, and none of the investors had any clue what they were buying. Why? Because it was really hard to trace. And there were some really smart guys like Michael Berry and John Paulson who figured it out and made an absolute fortune on it. But the average guy got absolutely screwed. And what the blockchain would do, if you integrated blockchain technology into the bond market, for instance, you would be able to see all of these transactions on the blockchain. You'd be able to see that they're junk bonds very clearly, and you'd be able to see that the bank actually moved them from these junk portfolios into these new portfolios because all of those transactions are publicly recorded. So that's one area where I think, you know, you can make a real difference with blockchain technology. Another one, I'll say, as it relates specifically to DeFi, is automation through smart contracts. Right, we've all gotten mortgages before. You know, Don and his family, they've gotten some pretty big mortgages, I'd say.
It's gotten a lot harder.
Yeah, right.
It's gotten a lot harder.
But let me ask you this: even when it wasn't hard, how long did it take you to get a mortgage? How much?
Insane. And the reality also, the points in and out to deal with people who are really not all that impressive, that were adding not really a lot of value, also just incredibly wasteful. I mean, you know, 34 points in and out of a deal, it's like it's nuts on, you know, on $1 billion more for what? For a couple of guys to push some paperwork around. I mean, it's truly insane. And eliminating that waste is like, I just take personal joy actually in the ability to actually take on some of those systems, because I'm the guy that had to deal with those guys. I'm the guy that was, you know, when I was a young kid and I was still like sitting there on an Excel spreadsheet back when, you know, like in my early 20s was like, I'm the guy giving some bureaucrat a bunch of nonsense that they're just filing away and they're just checking another box and it's points in and out and they're trying to pretend like they're adding value when all they're doing is actually slowing down a process.
And just like we need government efficiency, you know, we need business efficiency, because these dollars are just really being wasted. And the last thing I'll say is I think that it offers a really compelling opportunity for some of the young folks out there that want exposure to real estate. And I know there's a lot of them because they all tell me, Zach, you know, how do I get exposure to real estate? And I'm, you know, I sort of laugh and I tell them, you know, unfortunately, it's really not possible unless you're, you know, one of the top families out there to get exposure to blue chip real estate. And, you know, blockchain technology, tokenizing some of this real estate, you know, you're essentially fractionalizing it and you're opening the liquidity pool to a whole new class of investor. And you're also globalizing it, right? You're exposing, you know, people in different parts of the world to some of these real estate deals. And you know, I think that's really exciting and compelling. It's going to, and, you know, it's going to cut down on a lot of costs, like Don was saying. And ultimately, it's going to lead to, you know, a big increase in property values, I think. So I think it's pretty compelling.
Oh, this is great. I mean, I have one more question for both you and Don, as then I'll segue into Zach, Chase, and Co, and Eric Trump, who may have to run to Fox.
Yeah, I think he's also doing other TV.
This is why we got Baron on.
We're multitasking.
But don't worry, we got your little brother on. So we got Baron on. So Baron, hang tight. Yeah, he's still here. So in the meantime, when Eric's gone, we'll just go to Baron. But just quickly, your father already touched on that before he left. But before you guys go, kind of want to ask you, like, what's it been like, working with Zach and Chase? I'll get to you in a second, Chase, but before that, like, what's it been like, working with the guys?
Yeah, I'll start with that one. Chase and Zach, they're two of the most stand-up individuals I know. They're men of ethics, of morals, and integrity. And I would challenge. I'll echo what my dad said. I'd challenge any banker or economist out there to have a macroeconomics debate with Chase Hero. And I'll let you in on
Anybody
a little
in the room?
secret. It's like stepping onto a debate stage with President Trump. You're just not going to win. So,
By the way, I'll echo that entirely. I mean, like I said, I've been dealing with bankers now for I graduated Wharton in 2000, so a long enough time. Okay, quarter century, let's call it. And like
I wasn't born.
Exactly. And the level of sophistication, whether we're talking, bond markets or yields,
right.
I mean, these guys will go down a rabbit hole that, I guarantee you the average sophisticated banker on Wall Street could not even keep up. And so, there's definitely, that component of crypto that there's the Wild West, and you got to sort of almost disclaim everything because there's some bad actors, but I think generally speaking, the community has been incredible and embracing. So you sort of do have to look out for that. But like, again, the level of sophistication, honestly, I'm not someone that, I don't judge a book by its cover. When I'm looking at those shoes, I'm like, that looks like my daughter's golf shoes, Chase. But, it's fine. It's fine. But these guys start talking about, financial markets in a way that honestly, like, you could put them in a boardroom at Goldman Sachs and they're going to smoke the people in the room. It's actually really impressive. It shocked even me. And again, at this point, I've been stereotyped and called every name in the book. So I don't really judge anything by what anyone else says. I make my own opinions. And these guys have been awesome at that. So it's really impressive. And it actually gave me, such a level and confidence of what I think we're doing here, is really a game changer. I mean, this is the start, I think, of a financial revolution.
I love that. I definitely love the term financial revolution here because definitely what's happening. When you're in crypto, you really feel it. Like there's still 100,000 people tuned into Twitter Spaces. I'm sure millions of people will see this. And I really hope that every American listen to this or people outside just give crypto a dabble or a shot because it makes you feel really different. It's what really got me. NFTs and then the freedom, the feeling of being able to own my money.
And we're going to try to do a lot of that also because again, even for me, I've been following it for a long time. Have a lot of friends in the space, forever. But like I'm still a neophyte. You know what I mean? And I'm okay to admit that. And there are hurdles, there are complexities, there are things aren't made as easy as perhaps they could be, and there's sort of a lot of then fear mongering and this. So I think a whole part of this is I hope that we can help sort of simplify so much of this for a lot of people who, love the idea of it, but just, they look at the complexities and they look at just, honestly, even setting up some of these accounts and them, it's like, it can be, overwhelming, but I think there's a lot of people that, frankly, like me, have lost a lot of faith in the traditional institutions, and they sort of realize it's all, a lot of those, just one big Ponzi scheme, and guess what? If you don't know, what's going on, you're not the guy at the top of it. You know what I mean? And so, we saw that in 2008. We saw that, and it was interesting because it was a time where, that was the beginning of my business career in real estate. And I sort of remember going to my father at that time and being like, listen, we got to go all in on this. We got to go. Because I was just a young, aggressive, 20-something. I thought I knew everything because I experienced, 5 or 6 years of a real estate boom before the world hit a wall, in 07, 08. And so, it was actually the first time I was sort of like, wait, wow, he's learned from his own eras, whether it was in the early 90s or other, and he just looked at me like, don't be so glib. You don't know shit right now. Like, I go, what do you mean? We've crushed it here. He's like, yeah, but you've never lived through a down cycle. And it was a really interesting message from the guy that is sort of just known as being sort of like all in long every time at all, like, it doesn't matter. And it was like, oh wow, like, it was really sort of introspective. It was a conversation I never assumed I would have had until that point. And man, was he right. We structured our entire business different. We focused on doing, more like a license model for real estate so that, we could participate in the upside, but not take some of that downside risk. And then when the world did go to hell and it did hit a wall going, a billion miles an hour, all of a sudden it was like, wait, we didn't lose anything. We've all these cash reserves. And then we just started picking up things for 10 cents on the dollar. and really grew an empire. And so, it's fascinating to see that. I see so much of that going on here, and I think we just want to make that easy and available, for so many other people that I think would really love to participate in it, because I think they have probably that same dejected notion, of what's going on out there with everything else.
I've been friends with Junior for years. I've
Yeah.
never heard that story.
I don't tell that story lightly, because
That's
he literally goes, "Don't be glib." I'm like, Donald Trump just said I'm being glib. I'm like, who are you and what have you done with my father? What's going on here?
I know a thing or two about being Max Long all the time and not believing in downtrends. I was kind of that guy screaming super cycle in 2021 until it hit me in the face. So
listen, hey, you know what? But I'll say this, like, I've learned a lot more getting punched in the face than I have from the easy times. Like by a factor, like I learned more in that 2008 cycle than I did in the prior 8 years of my real estate career by a factor of about $1 billion.
I love that.
And it changes things. And, I think, and I think that, by the way, that holds true, not just for business or investing, but I think it holds true for life. You learn a lot more about yourself going through the adversity. We've dealt with plenty as of late. So, it's important.
I love that. Chase. I mean, we just got quite an intro. On your
don't let us down now, man.
Pressure.
He's going to start bumbling and mumbling, and I'm going to be like, everything I said was a lie. I take it all back. I disavow.
So you got Steve Wyckoff's, kudos.
I disavow. Yeah.
Zach and Don Jr. and I mean even Senior. So we'll cut straight to the chase. No pun intended, actually. Just realized that. Exactly. Just cue it out on video after. So there's been a lot of rumors floating around, World Liberty Financials, yourselves, etc., and about the project. Most importantly, is any of it true?
Oh, that's a good one right off the gate. Right? No, the funny thing is it, a lot of people like to say a lot of things, and I'll always start with this. When I first got into this space, I felt like it was a warm place where we were together and worried about what outsiders' opinions were. And when I stepped back into the space, I wanted to kind of come in here to like solve this bifurcation and how things have become this way. And it's just been an interesting voyage. You know what I'm saying? It's been an interesting voyage from start to finish with these guys. And it's hard to follow up these guys. They get me so excited about this space. I feel reinvigorated by it. It reminds me of like 2015 when I walked in the first conference and I had a hoodie on. I was scared the World of Warcraft warriors were going to find me, So, but I like that. It was warm and it was wholesome and we all worked together. So, it's hard to say what's being out there because I try not to listen to it or pay attention to it too much. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, because I can't control people's outlooks and, the way I look and the way I act and the way I've been through in life, it's all targets people want to paint in their own way. And that's fine by me. This was never about me. This was about bringing really intelligent people together that were curious and that wanted to, save the little man. You know what I'm saying? Like we all got into crypto and DeFi especially because we were, sick of being de-enfranchised from the banks, right? You have some money, you can borrow some collateralized debt against it, right? You have some assets, they're good. In this space, it's almost the same way because of the use case of getting into it, So like half the world can't utilize big finance, the other half of the world can't utilize DeFi. And the reason being is it's too complicated. I mean, we were introducing you and your brother to it and you guys like, what, I got to go to MIT to get through this?
I felt like I was in kindergarten again. I was like, I felt like a slow individual. It was, for a little while. I think we're catching up quickly, but like there's still a long runway.
And I feel like, because there's so many brilliant people in this space and the evolution of what they built is just astounding that somewhere along the way we've gotten so smart we forgot about the people who maybe, was too much gas or, that's not really built for them or the on-ramps are too difficult. And, like for me, I always like the big challenges, the big adventures, because that's where the depth comes, And so, when I talk with the boys and I said, I got a really interesting challenge I think we can face that's perfectly aligned with you guys, like who else can reach a world in a way you guys can, especially the average person, the teachers, the firemen, the police officers, who all deserve a piece of what big finance is, but I've been excluded from it for so long for, no fault of their own, just nature of the game, right? And it's a courageous battle, one that I'm sure will be ridiculed the entire time on, and that's okay. When you're called up to be a soldier, you put your armor on and get your big boy pants on and, you keep your head to the ground, and that's why we don't come up and respond to too much. We're working, like they'd rather have us build something good than sit there and fight this verbal warfare that there is no right or wrong answer that I can give you. Whatever I'm going to say, you're going to make your assumptions from it. And we're just going to sit here and build. And,
cool.
It's been cool to watch these amazing people come together. And put themselves in the, the guillotine, as they say, and all work together. And, you know, it's been a good time. And I love everything that they say about me. A lot of people say a lot of things, but I don't think I'm the smartest guy in the world. I think I'm good at seeing complex plot problems and make them simple, to make them understand by everyday people. And I think that's my gift, is the ability to say, hey, I'm not a really complex person. Let me understand this. If I can walk through it, so can the average person. And that's what we're going to try to do here.
So, and just for the audience to know, then we'll have Zach and Eric when he comes back, and we'll get more into the details of the project as well. We'll talk numbers. We'll talk all the juicy stuff that the crypto community really wants to hear. So hang tight right there, because I know this is what half the people came to hear. President Trump, and the other half are probably
we're giving them a long build up to
some
of the real nerds are like, come on.
This is a real show,
I was under the impression that they came to listen to me, but
I'm sorry. Of course, here Zach would call. I'm sorry, y'all. This is
that's like Trump level ego right there, Jack. Congratulations. I'm glad it's rubbing off on the.
I love it. But
I'll take that as a compliment.
It is. Hey, listen. Hey, no one finer.
It's a long build-up, but it's a build-up that's worth it. It's a good programming, so I hope everybody's entertained here. But Chase, another question for you then is, what's the overarching vision for this project? A lot of us want to know, like, what's actually going on, right? What's the vision? What are you trying to do?
It's a big goal. But first off, this country's been so good to me, and crypto's been so good to me. And so, as a taker and someone who's been able to get so much from this amazing world, it was time to try to do something to give back, And I think that the idea around liquidity is what I most focus on. I think that somewhere along the way, we've confused the world with Bitcoin. Is it Ethereum? Is it altcoin? Which are all great assets. I love them all, right? But I think that's a simpler game. People understand dollars. They understand accounts. They understand the simplicity of it. And so for me, I really, really started to study stable coins. And I really loved the idea behind it, because to me, it seemed like the simplest on-ramp to get someone who knew nothing about speculation into this space. And it's just like a gym membership. Once it goes from free to paid, you're committed, you're more into it. So I want to get people into this space, even if it's $5, to expose this environment. And to do that, and by doing that, something really special happens. And if you're not familiar with stable coins, they're a really, really amazing asset. And what they do is they're buying treasury bills. And I think it's a really good way to keep America's the sediment layer for another 100 years.
Right.
And that's been a really big goal of mine, because if you look through the history books, you see a strong America has been a strong world economy. Yeah. And the history books dictate that. And I think for the first time in a long time, there's been a little bit of bifurcation there. There's been challenges to what is going to be the sediment layer of the future. And currently, right now, it is still the US dollar, because the largest medium exchange in crypto are stablecoins, and they are all pegged to the US dollar. And so my advantageous goal here is to simultaneously giving people financial freedom, we are securing the US economy's sovereignty and freedom individually, and at the same time, giving people an asset that they can control. I mean, when's the last time you heard of an average person going out and buying a T-bill or a bond?
Yeah, I don't think I've heard.
Yeah, and the U.S. government itself getting away from like the petrodollar and all these things. I mean, that makes it very hard for the U.S. government to borrow and give us a lot of the things that, a lot of it's waste, but a lot of things are actually required. And so, I mean, this seems like a good backfill to that for what I perceive to be a lot of mistakes being made on the international scene, certainly as it relates to the petrodollar.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. So, Chase, how do you see your project, reshaping the financial landscape for the coming years?
Accessibility. It's you ever look at any big project in this world, it's the idea is to get users on there, to use it, to make it easy for them, to enjoyable. And I really think that's where we need to get, and that's why I love them as a family, is their whole idea is about this start to finish comfort, like the ease of use. I would say they're perfect in class in that. And so our goal here is just as that, is to, and constantly working around just making sure that we can make a system that is easy for the everyday American, everyday global patron to come on, to access this environment, and to get a fighting chance in a space that has been, out of their reach just due to the complexity of it. I mean, it truly is. I mean, in the beginning of this, we used to go to my mother and my grandmother and my sisters, and I'd be like, listen, I'm going to give you a bounty, $10,000. If you can get to where you have a MetaMask, you get $10,000. At any time you have to stop, call me up, and the bounty goes down. And you realize that people get stuck really quickly. This is a very advanced technology. Right. And I think that along the way of this advancements, we've kind of like missed the ball of like leaving the breadcrumbs as maybe people think. And that's the future here. You know, like I really, really, truly believe is when everyday Americans are using this
Yes.
and they're experiencing this and they understand the freedom of it. And that's to me is the coolest thing ever, is that your bank is wherever you go. It's in your pocket. You know,
right
you
there.
have money. It's right here. It's like, here's where I go. Here's what I use.
Eye-opening.
It truly, it's funny, you know, in just the day-to-day life, you know, like I'll bring my ledger to the golf course, you know, or I'll bring my ledger to a meeting, you know, and they're like, wait, you have all your funds right here. I'm like,
you've broken out at dinner like on multiple random occasions. It's like,
I was like, I got this one, boys.
yeah, we got this.
And the thing is, you know, like, and at that same notion, again, it's just the parallel of these spaces is going to be the hardest intersection to make. It truly is. And so you need the largest grasp of the simplest ways to do it. And like, I've just never met in my entire life someone who can break something down so simply like you and your father and your family does. And I really think like merging these two gaps gives the American, you know, person a fighting chance for this sovereign freedom. And it's going to be a revolutionized thing because the average person doesn't even get to get a yield off of a dollar. I mean, you go put your dollars in the stable coins, you put them on chain, you're instantly making money. It's like, and it's all backed by the treasury. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes like this, why are we excluding this, you know, from the world? And part of me thinks that sometimes some people want excluded. Some people want it held off from the world. Some people inside of it want it held off.
A lot of very powerful people for a lot of very bad reasons definitely don't want this to happen, right? I mean, it eliminates a lot of their power. It eliminates a lot of their potential resources and, you know, that inefficiency. Someone's making money for it. When 08 happened, you know, a lot of people still bought Hamptons houses and a lot of people were left with no retirement savings. And I think we're trying to eliminate that inequity there.
Yeah, I mean,
efficiency is a very, very profitable business for some people.
Oh, yeah.
right. I think the misconception is that not crypto versus the US dollar. It's crypto and the US dollar. It's crypto and America. It's crypto supporting America and vice versa. But a lot of people seem to be making this like warfare between the two of them. But we're just trying to build something cool, man. You know?
Exactly.
Liquidity. I mean, and that's the thing is like, you know, I see a lot of the bifurcation in the asset ownerships, you know, like the classes, you know, like who's better than other. And I get it. I understand it, you know, the camaraderie and all that. But like my goal is unified. It is to bring liquidity into this space. Period and dot period. And so far, the best rails I've ever seen to do is going in the rails via stablecoin, right? And it's like until there's other easier on ramp, that's the avenues that we explore, you know. And so, like I said, my goal is a very simple one, and I don't want to make enemies. No, I know I will. And everybody's like, oh, you're this way or that way. It's seriously just to bring in liquidity into the space that's much needed.
I love that. Well, thank you very much, Chase. Hang tight. I know Zach's here. I know Eric is probably getting interviewed by Fox right now, but we do have Baron on the Twitter Spaces, and I've got questions for him. Or he's not here anymore. We took too long, so we're gonna try
to get him back.
We're gonna try and get him back if
Damn
he's still
teenagers.
around. Yeah, I mean,
I'm like the old boomer now. I'm like a grumpy old man with a white beard. It's like a.
He's gonna come back. Okay. I mean, I see Baron's account on here, but he's gonna come back. Okay, awesome. I just got news that Baron or Eric. Sorry. Eric. Yeah,
Eric's coming back. Yeah, he's just
Eric's
finishing up TV.
He's in the van outside doing an interview with Fox, right? I think he's on national television right now. If you're watching Fox instead of this.
No, you should be watching this instead.
You should be watching this or listening.
This is
I
much
guess,
better.
the camera.
It's a little more exciting.
Yeah.
I wish you could see us now because this is looking really good. Okay, this room is sick.
It's definitely aura. This place is amazing, isn't it?
This painting is fire.
It's pretty aggressive.
There are some people that would pay a lot of money for that painting right here.
I am sure. I wish. I mean, this camera 1 or 2 was good.
It's got its own lore, right?
Oh,
so that painting was given to my father, but the left hand was left unpainted. What? And they said the artist basically said, you know, hey, I'm giving this to you. If you want me to finish, it's $25,000 or whatever the number was. And I think my father basically went to another artist and be like, here, I'll give you $500 to get you painting a hand. So the hand is a little bit different. But he was like, I'm not going to get game by this clown. Let's, you know.
That is too
like,
good.
I think it's like one of the most Trump stories ever.
Classic,
I believe it to be accurate. I mean, this has been legend for a while. So
we got to do Rug Radio more because I'm getting stories that I haven't heard
listen,
in my entire life.
Yeah, listen.
I've been friends with Junior.
Yeah, my big problem is, put a camera on me, I get much more open than I am in my, I'm basically like a recluse that likes to go shooting by myself. Like,
I mean, you guys are welcome on Rugby anytime you want. We have over like 100 creators across the world creating content. I'm live every morning. I'll come back to Mar-a-Lago for y'all. And
we'll do a lot. You come on my show on Rumble, we'll talk more about this. And listen, because this is going to be an evolution. And again, I just because, again, I'd say, I'm a reasonably sophisticated financial person. I'd be an accredited investor in basically anything. And yet, even going through this journey, if it's complicated for me, it's too complicated for most people, to get started. And so again, making it easy, taking people through it, going through, the tutorials that, Zach has taken us through, just like, here's the details and here's what's going on. And I'm like, if we can simplify that to people, once you get through it, it's like, it's not that bad, but the barrier to entry, even just psychologically,
correct.
When you see all of this stuff, is a lot, and it doesn't have to be. And so, if I can contribute anything to all of this in the future, is just, creating that access for everyone, because the more people that are using it, the more people that are out there active, I think honestly, the bigger front we put towards those, traditional institutions that had sort of the monopoly, whether it's liquidity or otherwise for far too long and for no real reason.
I love that. I think that's a great segue into the next segment. I mean, Zach, if you want to join us, I know you're busy. You're handling many things. I think we can go to Zach and Chase. Chase, you hang tight right there. Okay. But we'll switch one Trump for another Trump in 5 minutes. I think he said it's going to be 15. But yeah, Zach, I mean, sit here, and then when Eric comes, that way when Eric comes, you guys can just swap around, right? That's an easy one. I mean, the camera can fix all that. All right, so I guess we'll wait for Eric, but in the meantime, I do have you two. So let's get right into that. Let me just, you're a tall guy, Zach, so they've got to readjust the mic, dude.
No problem.
They had to adjust it.
Take your time.
They had to,
Right.
Like, you sure?
yeah, come here, and if you want, when Eric comes, we'll just slide.
I sit
down
next to him all
let
day,
Eric
every
next
day,
to me. This is great. I mean, listen, guys, no pressure, but there's still 72,000 people listening live. It is a lot, right? It's not that bad.
I think he stole my ex-wife jeans.
Wait, what? I love Don Jr. just throwing shots.
Welcome to a day in the life of World Liberty Financial.
I mean, you should sit with us until Eric comes.
Yeah, come back here.
You sit until Eric comes, man. Just get in here until Eric comes. So just confirming, Zach, is it true that you stole Don Jr.'s wife's jeans?
Maybe or maybe not.
Okay.
On advice of
What
counsel,
does the lawyer
I've been
saying?
told to not answer that question.
No, okay, cool.
Like I said, I wasn't sure if the mics picked it up, but when I stop breaking chops, that's when you have to actually worry. So as long as I'm breaking balls, you're in my good graces.
It wouldn't be Rug Radio if nobody's breaking chops.
Exactly.
So let me tell you that. So Zach, we'll just start with you, right? Until we get Eric back. So listen, Zach. I know that you care a lot about usability. That's something that we've been talking about a lot. You think that it's one of the biggest barriers to DeFi adoption. That's something that you and I kind of,
I think it's the biggest barrier.
The biggest barrier.
To
So
DeFi adoption right now.
you and I got to talk about this, yesterday through launch, but we were waiting for the whole thing to happen. So how does your platform, how does World Liberty Financial address this challenge of usability? And then who do you plan on bringing into DeFi ecosystem with this platform?
Great questions. So the first thing is, and I think that Don Jr. was kind of alluding to this, is the usability in DeFi is so difficult or confusing. Now, what I mean by that is a lot of the DeFi protocols, like for example, we've sent, Eric or Don Jr. links to some of our favorite DeFi protocols and said, here's what you do on this platform, here's what to do. And I've done this with a lot of my friends. I've got a lot of friends, Chase and I have a lot of friends who are wealthy, they are technically savvy, and they already have exposure to cryptocurrencies, be it Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever. But the majority of these friends of ours hold all of these assets in their Coinbase account. They never deploy these funds into DeFi, and most of them aren't even aware that there's something that you can do beyond just speculate on assets, right? And for us, the thing that we like the most, you already heard Chase talking about stable coins and the ability to generate yield off of something that's pegged to the US dollar and kind of remove that speculation. For me, I think that's one of the things where, like Chase said, where the most opportunity to bring new people into this space are. And the ability to show people who already have a lot of exposure to assets like Ethereum and Bitcoin, that not only is there something you can do with these assets, but making a product where it's really easy for the user to engage with it.
Now, I know we have like 70 some odd thousand people who are still on this, and your father left, which means they're sticking around to hear about the token, and they want to hear all the juicy details. These are our true DeFi and crypto community, right? Now,
the core crypto is still here. Let me tell you that. I can see them.
I see your stocks on Twitter, and we really appreciate you guys for tuning in. So the thing is that I'm sure all of you who have ever interacted with a DeFi platform probably feel like it's either difficult to engage with. You land on you launch the application, and there's no real explanation as to what to do or what the benefit is to the user. Or you get there and it's just a smorgasbord of tons of different markets or yield staking opportunities or whatever it might be, to the point where it's overwhelming and you have too many choices and you just end up leaving, right? And a perfect example, like Don was saying, it's happened with the boys, where Eric was basically trying to loop Ethereum on Aave. We had Chase, Don Jr., myself, the Witkoffs, we were all out to dinner. We were talking about it, and they wanted to, go and loop some Ethereum. We had this great conversation about it. So I send the link to Aave to Eric, and he goes, "You got to give me a call. I'm too frustrated. I can't figure this out." Right. So we proceed to go through the steps of how to loop Ethereum on Aave, and he did it. He's technically savvy. And if someone and I know Eric, he's a technically savvy guy. It's not like trying to explain it to
I can't wait to hear it.
It's not like
as a brother, I may argue with some of this, but
and he's not in the room to hear that shot.
It sort of feels like the Zoolander, like the files are in the computer.
Inside the computer. But it's absolutely right. And the thing is that there's no real thought to usability in DeFi. I think this is almost part of the ethos in DeFi, which is, if you don't get it, it's not for you. And I think that's a big problem, where if we really want to see a massive amount of adoption, mainstream adoption, and liquidity flood into this market, we need to build products that the everyday user who's used to interacting with apps on their phone, who's used to using certain financial sites and tools, can relate to and instantly pick it up, feel like they know what to do with the product, what the benefits in it for them, and to be able to use it right away without too much info and friction.
So what's the main goals of World Liberty Financial? Let's go a question to the both of you, right? Zach and Chase. So I'll go to you first, Zach. But what's the goal? But most important, how do you plan on actually accomplishing those goals?
Yeah. So I think rather than trying to, rebuild the wheel, it's to take what's the best of DeFi and basically bring it to the everyday person who isn't already interacting with DeFi platforms. Build products that are really simple and intuitive and easy to use, where you don't feel like you need to phone a friend to get a walkthrough, and to just onboard as many people through, simple products where they can actually start to earn yield on their assets, not take a ton of risk by speculating on, the next meme coin, but instead being able to use stables that are pegged to the US dollar to be able to generate yield or unlock liquidity in assets that they're already holding, such as Ethereum or whatever other tokens they might have.
And for you, Chase, I just would like to ask you a similar question here.
Yes.
What's your personal goals with this? What are you trying to accomplish?
He's always the more practical and I'm always the more ambitious one. So my goal is, I want to unchain ourselves from the debt. I want to, restructure where the American debt is being held. And, it's good for crypto. Listen, he who holds the debt holds the power. And so it's good for crypto. It's good for America. And the system works. And listen, as rates are going to start falling, that money's going to start leaving these places that need a home to go. We want to create something that makes it really sound and smart for that money to go to. And that's the goal here. It's I think of America first, and we put our soldier outfit on, and we're going to build a product to do just that,
I love that.
That's the end goal here. So,
and the other thing, just to add to that, in terms of our goal in general, right? I think, we have pretty good relationships with a lot of the big players in crypto, and anybody who knows Chase and myself and has worked with us on this World Liberty Financial project, either in the forefront or working behind the scenes, because we have a lot of support behind the scenes. Everybody will tell you that our goal here is to shine a light on the entire crypto community as a whole. We all know that there's a ton of tribalism in crypto. No one can agree on what the right layer 2 is or, what the right token is, and that's fine. Our goal here is to really shine a light on everything that crypto and DeFi has to offer, whether it's Rug Radio and, decentralized media platforms, whether it's decentralized lending platforms like Aave, or anything in between. We really want to be able to shine the spotlight on the tools and the things that have, really given Chase and myself a massive leg up in the ability to do something that most people can't do. We want to make all of that available to the average person and really shine a light on this incredible community that we've been a part of for, almost 10 years now.
Wow, this is really cool. I got another question for you guys while we wait for Eric here. And, you kind of alluded to that, and I want to get there. It's the soldiers, right? You said you built a team of soldiers that are all in, and then you went and said, you have a lot of strong connections within the world of crypto, et cetera. So I've heard, and obviously I've seen the announcement that you've been rolling out lately, and we have a couple advisors that are going to then join us as well. Corey's in the room, and he's on the spaces right now.
Actually, can we blow it up and tell him the info, the little alpha right here? Sure. All right. So I've got Corey's permission. So Corey,
what is now we have a fall guy.
What is
Corey,
that?
get under the pants here. It's probably you, buddy.
Technically, this is the first time that we've actually shared this publicly. So, for all of you who have been following World Liberty Financial and been watching our advisor posts, we named Corey Kaplan as one of our advisors, technical advisors. He's a phenomenal builder in the space. Anybody who knows him knows this. And he got involved in the project, and he reached out to us one day, and he said, "Hey, I'm having such a great time here." And I was like, "Oh God, what's coming?" And he goes, "Is it okay if I join the team? I want to actually come on and join the team." And obviously, everybody who was working with him said this is a no-brainer, without a doubt. And that's one of the things that I think that we really want to put out there about World Liberty Financial, and just the corporate culture, or the lack of corporate culture that we're building, is really just around people who have something to offer and really are smart and best in class. They always will have a place here in World Liberty Financial. This is not about Chase, myself, or even the Trump family, even though that they're incredibly involved and supportive. This is about building something that is decentralized and can really add to the community, bring a lot of liquidity here, and really, we look at it like a rising tide lifts all boats, and that's really what we want World Liberty Financial to be for the whole space.
I actually won't get into it, but we've actually seen some people reach out to us from the traditional banking side, and really big people on that side, because they understand the future here as well. I mean, they're actually sort of visionary in a world that there's not a lot of visionaries oftentimes. And so that to me has been fascinating, because
I think it's been well received outside of Web3.
Again, like real traditional banking.
Right.
And so, watching that, and then, that's for another time. But that's been pretty fascinating to watch as well, because it's not just a flash in the pan. It's not, these are guys that they get that world. They understand the flaws, the pitfalls. They understand what's coming, and they're getting ahead of that for themselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And though we've been quiet on most of the media, we're very open people. If you're curious and you're humble and you want to come in there and lend your input and your skills and your amazingness, and we can shine a light on amazing stuff you build, please hit us up. Reach out. We really stand on that. We want to make it the home that we remember it as, and if we can do anything here to it, we'll put those shields on and take the battle, take the wounds, so that this industry can evolve to be here in 30 years. I mean, listen, I want my kids to be in this space. This is everything I've known. If I can hand something down, this is what we hand down. So if we can do anything that's selfish and unselfish at the same time, this is the play we do. And that's why we're here.
We care about our space, right? I think I speak on behalf of the entire crypto space. It's something, even when we joined, I'm pretty late to the game, 2021. I thought it was late, but clearly already enough to build something important enough to be here today with you guys. But, it was always hard to crack that cocoon and kind of make it inside the space,
and
obviously.
Look where you are now.
Right.
The biggest interview in the world.
And you were a no-brainer. When we had chat, we had a lot of media reach out to us, and it was always from a place of I don't want to say demeaning, but objective. The majority, and I mean, who knows better than Don Jr. and the rest of the Trumps? People don't write articles because they care about who they're writing about. They write articles because they care about their own clicks. And we all know that, right? So the more salacious headlines you write, regardless of how true or not they are, regardless of the level of journalistic integrity you've brought or none, there's very little, and we're going to get into this, but a lot of what's out there is, uncorroborated, not accurate. And, obviously we're here to set the record straight on a lot of that tonight.
Yeah, we're going to get there in a minute here.
But real quick, back to what Chase was saying. For Chase and I, it was just he and I, when we were talking about, okay, we got to figure out what do we want to do for the spaces? Like, what kind of vibe do we want to create here? And for he and I, we're like, we got to do it with Farokh. We got to do Rug Radio.
That's pretty cool.
But for real.
I was in Japan. I got the call. I was like,
because
is
why?
this for real?
Because this is for the culture. Like World Liberty Financial is not a bunch of suits coming into crypto to try to take over.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bunch of suits coming into crypto, embracing people like, Chase and I who are sitting here and, I'm in ripped jeans that I stole from Don Jr.'s wife. And my T-shirt, and
I got his daughter's shoes on, so.
And he's got his daughter's golf shoes on.
The outfits. I'm like, listen, I'm not much of a suit guy myself. I was like, this is next level. I don't know, guys.
I got it.
I'm not there yet, but I'm the boomer of the crowd.
Yeah. But the thing is that a lot of people were like, who's this Farokh guy? And I even see it on Twitter.
Of course.
Like, huge reporters that would have killed somebody to. Well, a little hot, but who would have done anything
too soon
to get this interview are like, why is this guy doing it? And
I've got that a few times already.
Of course, but everybody of the 70 some odd thousand people that are still listening right now, every single one of them understands why we went with you. Every single one of them knows why you have this interview, and some guy from CNN or Bloomberg or whatever is not sitting here with us. So it's really exciting. Chase and I started in this space back in like 2015, 2016. We had one of the first large forums for crypto where people were talking about crypto. A lot of major crypto influencers who you guys all know got their start in our group. That was their first kind of like forum to really be able to build a name and a brand for themselves. And we're here doing this at a much larger scale, integrating DeFi, crypto, NFTs, live from Mar-a-Lago with the Trumps, the most recognized brand in the entire world. Regardless of how you feel about them, regardless of your political leanings, they are the biggest, most powerful brand in the world right now. And the one thing that I really like about DeFi is that it is completely democratized. Right? At the end of the day, the best chain with the best performance and the lowest transaction fees and the most throughput and the most usability will win, right? The platform that gives the most transparency and the best rates and the most competitive rates on assets will win. It does not matter your political leaning. Everybody is going to embrace World Liberty Financial when they see what we build. They are not going to care. All they're going to do is say, thank you guys for doing what you did for crypto. I don't expect you to hear it today. I expect a lot of chatter and, of course, it is what it is. But 1, 2, 3, 5 years from now, everybody's going to look back and say, oh my God, they said they were going to do it and they did it.
That's all I can hope for, because it's something that I think we all want and hope to do well in the space. We have Eric back in the room.
I'll sub out.
Do you want to stay right there? Swap with.
I'll go kick
slide down and then maybe get Eric right next to me, or do you want to like that? That way we'll get. All right, everybody, hang tight, because we got Eric Trunk back in the room. Straight out of, you were on Hannity? Is that what you were on?
I was on Hannity, a very multi-dimensional life I live.
Yeah, you were in the room here helping us out, then back out to Hannity in the van, and then back here with us. I mean, come on, who's got it better than it's me?
Yeah,
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not, but Eric, I got a couple questions for you here. We've had an incredible chat with.
Spoiler alert, by the way, we talked a little bit about your looping Ethereum, so the secret's out.
I like that.
Yeah, sorry, because we had to get Zach talking, and he got really excited.
Jump in on this one because honestly,
please tell it yourself. Tell it yourself.
Looping story.
Listen, I'm in the hospitality industry, right?
Yes.
We don't want a guest to show up at our hotels. We don't want them to touch a door. We don't want them to, ever carry a bag, right? We're in hospitality for a reason.
Right.
I have to say, the one thing that the crypto world has probably done a bad job with is actually the hospitality aspect of it. Everything's freaking difficult, right? And I went to one of the best schools in the country, smart guy. I understand technology very well. The amount of times that I called Zach saying, I don't get this. I popped open a MetaMask account and I literally can't get the browser to pop up because my Chrome extension isn't working. And then you go to, Aave and you try and do some looping, but you have to loop it 3 times in order to get to the actual transaction to loop. And I'm sitting there saying, man, I'm a pretty smart guy. Again, I understand technology enough. I can't get this to work. There's no way that half of society is. And honestly, if there's one contribution I want to make to the world of crypto, it's actually making it user friendly. And it's going to be like one of the big theses. I mean, I pound this in the guys all the time. Treat me as your consumer, but treat me at 2 generations above me as the consumer for a second. And let's go through and let's try and make it idiot proof. But, there's so much potential. And honestly, I think one of the things that have kept so many people out of the crypto space is actually that confusion, right? I mean, half the domains are .io. I think if you went to, a couple generations over me, they've never typed in that domain. They don't even know what it kind of
Everything's
means.
taken.
And so how do we bring what we're so good at, which is, almost comfort and usability? How do we, how did these guys program that into a space where it does everything that Don talked about, right? So many people in this country are disenfranchised. So many of the people want this. I mean, why does Chase have 60-story buildings that are 2 million square feet in every single, city in this country? Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes and payroll and this and that, which they're passing off to consumers. When this can be done on blockchain, it can be done quicker. It can be done less painlessly. Your money can get wired from into an account in a couple hours,
right.
Direct to your account. There's all the BS, all the nonsense is taken out of it. I mean, that is modern day finance. That's modern day finance. But why can't we do that in a way that's efficient, clean, simple, user friendly? And it's one thing that just hasn't been done, because again, when you start trying to link up a Coinbase account to a MetaMask account to an Aave account or a Dolomite account, or it's tough. It's absolutely, that might actually be a plug to somebody that's in this room.
Oh, there you go.
He's coming in next.
Corey can come in here next and talk all about Dolomite.
Corey, we're going to make it user friendly.
Yeah.
All right.
That would be great. So let me ask you. I mean, we've had Don Jr. here. We had your father, and we have yourself now. Sorry. So how could the Trumps coming into DeFi change the way wealth creation works in America and across the world?
So think about it for a second. Say you want to go open up a pet grooming business, and you have $10,000 worth of Ethereum, and you want to borrow against that Ethereum. Why can't you just be able to go and do it? Why do you have to go shed your assets? Why do you have to go sell your assets, something that you believe is going to appreciate tremendously? Why can't you do it, and why can't you do it instantly? That person goes to Chase, zero chance they're getting a loan, zero chance. They'll laugh, right? There's not enough zeros behind their name. They'll go through a process that's 120 days long, at which time the business will be gone because your inspiration will be shattered. And by the way, chances are you're 120 days into the process and they tell you no. They cancel you. They cancel you for a post that you made at some point that you believed was right on social media or something along those lines. It's not efficient. Why can't this be done on blockchain? Why can't this be done, quickly, seamlessly? And there's so many different financial tools. I literally feel like our financial system is broken. Our financial system vastly favors the wealthy. It gives others not a chance of success. You better be in kind of, the club. If you're not in the club, you probably don't have a chance. And by the way, if you're not in the club, you're also not getting the best terms.
Not at all.
So there's no parity on lending, borrowing. It kind of quells freedom, and that's not how it's meant to work. It's not how it's, and then at the same time, these banks, as I said before, we own some of these buildings, right? They're carrying these assets, payments on these assets. They're carrying 60 floors full of cubicles filled with thousands and thousands and thousands of people to push through transactions, at which time they charge you for, the application process, but then deny your application 90 days later. There's got to be a better process, right? And if you want to look at financial institutions going into the future, you better believe that inefficient model is going to be extinguished, and that these transactions can happen immediately on blockchain with a couple pushes of a button, without the discrimination, without the nonsense, and that's what excites me. It's so
Sick.
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
And I fell down this rabbit hole. And let me just say one other thing. I'm an unconventional guy for crypto, right? I'm a bricks and mortar guy. There's no guy who's built more buildings. There's no guy that's opened more hotels. There's no guy who's built more golf courses. It's what I do every day. It's hospitality. I'm a guy who likes the world where you can touch something, bricks, mortar, concrete, tangible. If you've made a believer out of me, then honestly anybody would be a believer, right? Because if you actually think about it, what crypto is, it's such a hedge to all of that, right? Right now, a hurricane can come and slam into the east coast of Florida, and congratulations, your home, your business is gone. You can see what's happened in California, where you have the largest exodus of people because of bad policy, high taxation, right?
Yeah.
So many factors gone. You have geopolitical factors, gone. You've got crooked AGs and DAs in states who target you relentlessly, gone. You have a bank that cancels your account, like Don was talking about with PNC Bank taking out it, right? So all of a sudden now your business collapse is gone because somebody targeted you. think about all the intangibles in the world that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
That can't happen on blockchain. That can't
No.
happen, right? And so, as much as people sometimes say the bricks and mortar, I mean, it's safe because it's there and there's always something to collect off of it. Well, there's also inherent risks to all of those things that I mentioned, right? And I'm a big fan of Michael Saylor. He's a guy I've known for 25 years. I've known Michael before he was
Really?
Michael. I knew him back in New York and
That's cool.
different days. And he's a guy I tremendously respect. I actually think he does a better job talking about this than just about anybody.
I agree.
And he gave one of the great dissertations at the last Bitcoin conference.
He did.
About this, which is no. You actually invest in crypto to de-risk as opposed to add risk. And I think when you can start getting your mind into that mentality about how many inherent risks are actually taken off based on secure blockchain, global currency, a hedge against devaluation, a hedge against global insecurity. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And it's opened my eyes as, again, a guy who builds in bricks and glass and dirt and I've become such a believer. I'm really passionate about it.
So I love that you're saying that, because when you were out of the room, we talked about cryptocurrency as a means of freedom. And you're someone that said you were like the typical brick and mortar guy. It's see, feel, touch. When I got into NFTs, like, oh, I can't see the art. We're like, well, you spend more time on your phone looking at art digitally. So what's the matter? You're not staring at your wall all day long. So what was the one thing, and I'm sorry, I'm going off, I just need to ask you, what's the one thing that turned you into this believer? Because there's a lot of people listening to us now that may think that they're not of age for crypto, but that makes no sense, right? There's a lot of people that think you can't see, feel, touch, but then you said, hey, one hurricane and your shit's gone, and everything's gone. So what was the thing that made you switch?
Listen, we've got one of the biggest portfolios of properties in the world.
Yeah, but what made you...
clearly a hard asset guy, right? I mean, I'm sitting here in a suit. These guys are sitting here in t-shirts and tattoos, right? Like we're blending two worlds so well. Don, hop in here from afar because I want your commentary.
My ex-wife's jeans.
I think that's right. There's more holes in his jeans.
You guys are really catching straight online and in person.
This is why we love them, though. We have a blast here.
Costs more than your suit.
I would also venture to say, you guys might not be traditional crypto guys, but after Chase and I have gotten to know you and your family, and you guys are everything that crypto stands for. So if maybe there was a technological, catch up or whatever, but short of that, everything you guys are about and represents is everything that crypto has been about since the absolute beginning.
I would have never guessed that, so many people who really have fallen into a movement of love really because they felt like they were left behind in this country, and really not just this country, it's actually global. It's all over the world, would actually be the very people who actually aligned most with cryptocurrencies. It's like the identical person, even though they're so different in so many ways, it's kind of a beautiful thing to watch. But if anybody believes that traditional banks are going to look like they do today in 25 years, they've just missed the mark, right? I mean, if you look at Bitcoin, just Bitcoin, this is before you get into all the other, the Ethereums and everyone else, it's just Bitcoin. It's grown faster than the internet did starting, I think, in 1997 by total value. I mean, it's remarkable. I mean, it's remarkable, the store of wealth. It's remarkable. Now, all of a sudden, you see these ETFs coming out. You see all the exchanges are coming out, trading Ethereum, trading Bitcoin. That's opening up every single day. You see, BlackRock coming out, and they've entered the world in a big way. Morgan Stanley's come in a big way. I know the heads of many of the biggest banks. I was talking to one of them today, like one of the biggest consumer banks, and they're rolling out a massive crypto platform.
That's awesome.
It's happening, and you know why it's happening? Because people damn demand it. They're saying to them, they're going to every private wealth advisor. I don't care how much money. I want to buy Ethereum. I want to buy Bitcoin. I believe in these assets. I believe in, this digital currency that I can have. And one other thing, aside from people demanding it, think about the problem with our monetary system right now, right? Say you want to go buy a painting from somebody overseas or a watch from somebody overseas. How do you do it? Yeah, I mean, so say you have to.
It's pretty tough.
Okay, but I'm not just talking about going over to Germany. You want to buy a watch from a guy in Germany, or you want to buy a painting from somebody in Spain. I mean, how do you do it? Okay, first you need to convert the money They need to find a bank over there. They need to get, routing numbers, but the routing numbers are under kind of a different system than over here. And, then somebody takes a vig of 20% and somebody else takes a vig of another 10%. And you don't actually know if it's going to the right spot. And, things aren't translated in the right language. And so you don't actually know what the hell you're sending. You don't know if you're going to get your product. I mean, versus somebody popping open their ledger and, transferring over the, $1,500 for whatever they wanted to buy. Isn't there a beauty behind the simplicity of point to point? And by the way, why should that middleman get that big? Did that middleman create that product?
Absolutely nothing.
Did that middleman want that product? Why is that middleman even there other than an inefficient market? Why shouldn't they become redundant immediately? And it's one of kind of the many beautiful things about currencies. And in fact, I want to be the first hotel company, golf company that literally can be paid for, meaning where you can pay for your room, you can pay for your dues, you can pay for your initiation fees, you can pay for your dining, vis-a-vis cryptocurrencies. I think it's the coolest thing in the world, and I'm actually, I mean, spoiler alert, like we're working.
Oh, you're gonna
on
make one of my friends very happy right now, Eric.
There's no question that this is the future, guys. And when I met these guys, I was incredibly impressed. They've got a great vision, we believe in their plan and what they're about, and we also have great rapport, which is which has been a lot of fun. You can hear kind of the banter with Don.
Yeah, I saw it all. I heard it all.
I don't want to say the shit talk with the shit talk, right?
Yeah, it is.
A little bit of that's important, and we're having a lot of fun. But I believe in their vision, and I think they're going to do great things.
I love that. It's funny because before coming to Mar-a-Lago, I last year I had the Trump National Doral, and my friend whose name is also Eric was like, when you go talk to Donald Trump, can you please ask him to start taking crypto as payments for his golf course? I was like, listen, I'm not supposed to slide in questions from friends. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to stay in my focus, and I'm not sharing my doc with anyone. But you just said it, so I can't.
So there you go.
There you go.
You're welcome,
there you
Eric.
The scoop, right there, you have the scoop, and I cannot wait to pay.
It's fun because we're nimble and fast. You probably tell by the way we talk, but because we're nimble and fast, we'll implement that immediately, and everybody else will follow it, and it's an awesome thing. And I think the faster the world can integrate, and the faster America can embrace this. You've got sovereign and wealth funds that are literally putting their entire fortunes into crypto. If America doesn't do it, we're going to be left behind. We can't be left behind in anything we do. Certainly not digital finance, right? And also, if you look at cryptocurrency, it trades off the U.S. dollar. What's more accretive to the U.S. dollar than cryptocurrency, right? And by the way, you've got people who don't want to see America be the worldwide currency, right? You have massive competition from around the world, and and competition makes everybody better. But it's actually a beautiful thing what it does for the monetary system, and I hope that continues because we better embrace it. Otherwise, we are going to get left behind. And you know what? We make a mistake when we say that this is just Asia. It's not just Asia. It's the Middle East in the biggest possible ways.
Absolutely.
It's South America in the biggest possible ways.
Absolutely.
And now, one other thing, I bridge this unique gap where I understand traditional finance. It's what I've done kind of my entire life. And then I see kind of the younger generation. I see members who just killed it of ours at our clubs. I see friends who are younger who just, they just believe. And then you see a Baron who is so smart, so great, so everything. And he's literally, sitting there, telling me, he's like, Eric, you wouldn't believe it. I've got kids that are trading Ethereum in the back corner of their college class. And, it is such a language of love for that generation.
I love that.
I know he's coming up and he's awesome. He's doing great.
I wish he was here with us right now.
He's obviously in school but he's so passionate about it. He loves it. But he's like, hey, bud, my all my buddies are literally trading in the corner, and they're buying coins, and it's we better damn well embrace it as a country because it's coming coming fast, and the people who are ignoring it, and the people who don't want to embrace it, and the people who don't want to figure it out, the people who don't want to make the effort, they're going to be left behind. But at the same time, I think it's truly our job to make it understandable, because right now, to the vast majority of people, without great coaches like these guys right here, where you can call up and say, hey, man, I'm having a problem with that browser extension. Can you help walk me through it? If you don't have that coach, you're probably stuck, short of watching YouTube videos for 9 hours. We have to make it intuitive. We have to make it user-friendly, and we will. And I think that's going to open the eyes to anybody that's still on the sideline and, doubting the true potential of what this ultimately will be.
I think that's a mic drop moment. so that we could go into our final segment with Corey and get to the questions that the crypto people want to hear. But Eric, thank you so much for this. That was an honor.
Great
I know
job.
you were just in another interview, so you being here is really cool right now. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Great
Hang
job.
tight, everyone. Hang tight. We're still going.
Here he
Get
is,
Corey in here. Get Corey in here.
following the
All right. It's time to
exciting
get Corey in
announcement.
here. You know, we were supposed to, I promise you all, because I know the run of show. I built it. You know, we were meant to go for 45 to 75 minutes. So 45 minutes and now we're in 15. And here we are closing in. Oh, yeah, it's 2 hours. It's 9:59 p.m. I just realized that. And, you know, shout out to the crew here that's absolutely crushing everybody transitioning in and out of this Twitter Spaces. You absolutely love to see it. It's also awesome to see that, you know, Donald Trump lent us his account to stay on the stage the entire time. And I really appreciate everybody for still being here and listening to us. Mr. Corey, you're now in the hot seat that, you know, President Trump, Don Jr., and, you know, Eric Trump.
Yeah, that's
have all
the
sat
executive seat you're in right now.
How did that feel, Zach? You were just in there too.
It felt good. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I've lost a little luster over here, but maybe it's because I'm sitting next to Corey, who is far more intelligent than I am. And
listen, I think this chair's tired of me. So, you know, let's get into it, Corey. You know, you've built Dolomite. You know, you're a very successful crypto entrepreneur yourself. You've been, you know, kind of talked up before coming up here by the whole family, pretty much. And it's awesome that you're involved. So, considering the high visibility of, you know, and the expectations, right, surrounding this project, how do you approach the security and the architecture aspects of it? Because it has to be robust, has to be reliable. So it's important for us, you know, the crypto community to understand, like, how are you going to make sure that this thing is like very secure?
Well, security as a whole, you know, it can never be perfect. You know, I think of security as more of a journey. We've seen things that we thought were secure in the early days of crypto and open finance before it was even called DeFi that we thought were good. And certainly over time, things have changed. So it's really important for not just myself, but for this whole team to remain nimble, adapt, continue to soak up information like a sponge as new things emerge and never get stuck in the mud of what you think is the best. There's always going to be new methodologies and new things for us to embrace, and we have to always remain open-minded to it. So, you know, they said that you came in as an advisor, then Zach kind of broke the news, et cetera, your involvement, et cetera. So you were kind of put on the spotlight here, but I want to know, like, what attracted you to this project. You're a crypto OG. You've been involved in the space for a long time. When your announcement was made that you became an advisor, obviously I've been, you know, following this closely as I was preparing for today for a few weeks now. It's kind of like shifted even the sentiment, right? Like it was like, oh, whoa, he's involved, right? And you're my fellow CryptoPunk brother, so I love that. But, you know, it's got two punks on stage right now with Donald Trump. It's pretty cool, huh? You know, but
whoever would have, like, honestly, can we just take this back 1 second before we
Right
get into
there.
that? If you would have thought 6 months ago that Donald Trump is dropping a decentralized finance project,
I think you're crazy.
would anybody have believed it?
Absolutely not.
And also on the stage with two CryptoPunks.
And that's the honestly with two CryptoPunks, right? Which is really cool. And then let alone after what happened yesterday, which obviously wasn't planned at all. And then he's still accepted to be on here, which is really freaking cool.
No. Let's get it clear. He didn't even consider canceling.
No, I heard. I was told that he was very excited.
Oh, he was hyped.
Earlier today.
There was nothing that was going to stop him.
You know what's funny? Everybody was like, "Oh, well, that's not happening. That's not happening. That's not happening." And I was like, "Guys, like, I haven't heard. You guys never even told me, hey, this may not happen. You just told me just."
We can't set up yesterday. We'll have to do it this morning.
We can't set up tomorrow. Just see you tomorrow at 9 in the morning, right? So we post on a video early. But Corey, like, I want to go back to you and ask you because it's very important, right? I think for people to hear this from you, so what attracted you to this project? Like, why are you doing this?
Well, obviously the impact and reach for something like this is absolutely massive. I mean, I've been building in crypto professionally since about 2017, and I've seen the space evolve so much over time and go from what was a bunch of ragtag people working on things and people starting up projects through small grants from the Ethereum Foundation into something much, much larger. You know, we're seeing the biggest decentralized finance protocols handling tens of billions of dollars in AUM or assets under management. We're seeing them process billions and sometimes even trillions of dollars worth of transactional volume. Like, these are big numbers that start to attract the eyes of the banks, of course, but then we've also seen the regulators also start to catch the attention of it. And it's time to regain the focus now and really focus in on what makes this space, decentralized finance, so important. We've seen a lot of people lose sight of that over the past couple of years with, the fallen false shepherds of Alex Mashinsky and Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
And those people don't really represent what our industry is all about. We really wanted to bring the spotlight back in and focus it on what really makes this space so important. And I think that Eric, Donald Jr., Eric, Zach, Chase, they did a tremendous job of really talking about all the different pain points that we've seen people come across over the past couple of years, from the unbanked to the user experience problems to the disenfranchisement. These are all really important problems that are not going to go away. Certainly as the world becomes more polarizing, we need to find ways to coalesce, and we need to find ways to make finance not discriminate against people. And this is the obvious solution. So it's an honor to be a part of the team and be able to help them this way. And I'm truly humbled to be here.
I love to hear that. And it's obviously it feels good to hear from someone like yourself, right? So especially when it comes to, a platform that needs to be robust and secure, given all the attention and the eyes that's on there. Zach, I'm gonna go to you here as we start closing off. Look, I'm assuming you guys are gonna have a lot of news come out as you can drip them out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think Chase, it was pretty much an open invite. If media wants to know more and learn more, they can reach out to you and ask you questions directly. But I want to ask you the questions that some people want to know.
Please.
And it's really important, even for myself. We're media, we're in crypto, and I want the space to thrive. And it's important for us that, you guys, doing this with the Trumps, puts a good, energy out there in our industry, right?
Absolutely.
And a good aura over it. So, the question that everybody wants to know about World Liberty Financial right now is, will there be a token? And are you planning?
Yeah.
Elon.
Well, I'm sorry. I think we have a request.
Yeah. Sandra, do you have my phone? 1 second, y'all.
Okay. Well, I promise you
second,
we'll
y'all. Looks
answer
like we
that, but
have-
looks like we have a really special guest here.
It doesn't matter. I have it. I have the audio. Just get him up. You're good. We don't see him on the spaces.
I'm going to call.
Yeah, just gonna call him.
But yeah, apparently he just texted.
Okay.
Okay.
Looks like we've got a really, really exciting
Last minute
guest.
guest?
Why don't I
So
start
what does
talking?
it tell us,
Let me answer it, and then we'll bring him on here.
Yes.
So, shoot me the question again.
Sorry, it was the question directly was is there going to be a token?
Okay, so I think this is probably one of the most highly anticipated things that's out there. There's been a lot of debate. I've seen some crazy predictions on the prediction markets. So everybody get ready to cash your tickets. The answer is yes. There will be a token. Because I knew you were going to ask me about this, I prepared a written statement that I'm going to read that, I'm going to give everybody a little bit of context and make sure that they understand exactly what the token is about. So at World Liberty Financial, we believe that it is important for there to be broad-based participation in the direction of the World Liberty Financial platform and decentralized finance as a whole. And we believe that a governance token is the best way to seek to achieve that outcome. Therefore, we're planning to sell and otherwise distribute governance tokens called WLFI in the future. WLFI tokens are pure governance tokens, only providing the right to make proposals and vote on matters related to the platform. WLFI will be non-transferable and do not provide any right of any economic rights, such as dividends or other distributions. And we only want eligible people who actually plan to engage in the direction of World Liberty Financial governance to purchase the token. So this means not people that are motivated simply by an expectation for resale for profit. And a quick reminder that although we are sharing these plans now, this discussion here that we're having is by no means intended to be an offer to sell or a solicitation of an offer to buy tokens anywhere. Any such offers and sales, if and when commenced, would be done through a specific token sale with token sale terms and a separate announcement through our official channels. So long story short, yes, there will be a token. Make sure you're following us on our official Twitter.
Which is the co-host of the Twitter Spaces
Which is the co-host of this Twitter Spaces. Do not fall for all of the scammers that are running rampant. Avoid scams. Follow us on our World Liberty Financial official channel, which you can find, again, as the co-host here, and you will be able to get the first information on how you can participate in the governance token.
Okay, thank you very much. Look, I'm gonna ask a few more questions about it, but
Please.
I'm assuming when
I'll do my best.
do your best. Listen, I know how it is. I operate a company in crypto. I know how it is. So
Plus, I've got not even all. I've got a handful of my lawyers standing across the room, staring daggers at me. So
yeah, I mean, definitely, I can feel it.
there's a lot of suits in here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I got my suit on. No I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we're outnumbered, bro.
So who can buy it?
Okay, great question. So, although we don't consider WLFI to be a security, in the light of regulatory uncertainty surrounding tokens and token sales in general in the United States, we've decided that it's prudent to limit the token sales to certain persons who would be eligible to participate in transactions that are exempt from registration under the U.S. federal securities law. So that means that U.S. persons may only participate in a potential token sale if they have been reasonably verified as accredited investors under what is known as Regulation D. Similarly, we would expect that any potential non-U.S. token sale would be limited to non-U.S. persons and comply with applicable restrictions under what is known as Regulation S.
So it's Reg D, Reg S. So,
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So
exactly.
that I think that clears a lot of the chatter that was happening on the timeline.
Yeah, there's a lot of information that's floating around out there that's mainly untrue. So, we're going to address as much of it as we possibly can here. And obviously, we're going to be doing subsequent announcements on our social. We're going to be doing subsequent Twitter spaces with more of the core team where we dive into stuff. We would love to have you join us on that as well. Once our lawyers tell us that we're good to go.
Of course. And the whole legalese thing is just a crypto thing. Like you just have to do it. It's not even, it's a financial market thing.
When we get clarity on the regulations, we'll be able to do a free Twitter spaces, but hopefully November 4th, we get that opportunity.
Yeah. And so I'm going to keep going, right?
Please.
So, and I promise y'all team, the crew's getting tired, I'm sure. But the
lawyers are getting nervous back there. They're sweating.
I still got to, in the words of, I think it's better than some, drill, baby, drill. So
drill.
I think I still got to drill, baby, drill over here. So how is this token going to be distributed?
Okay, so we caution everyone, like I said, that there's a lot of scams out there in crypto in general. There may be plenty that are, claiming to have some sort of relationship with World Liberty Financial. Again, if it doesn't come from our official Twitter or Telegram accounts or our website, it is not real. Don't look at the comments on our Twitter and see the contract addresses and the posts down there. If it is not an official post, it is not coming from us. So please be careful. As far as the overall distribution of the token, I think this might really make a few journalists cry when they realize that they have it just so wrong. If I may say, fake media will fail once again. So let's get into the true distribution of the token. So there's been a lot of speculation. How is the token being distributed?
Yes.
So it is just like any other DeFi project that you can expect to see that's launching now with incredibly fair token distribution. Approximately 63% of the tokens are going to be sold to the public. There have been no pre-sales. There have been no VC early buy-ins with discounted allocation. Despite any sort of speculation out there, the first time that this will sell will be when we sell it to the public. 63% all selling to the public. 17% have been set aside for user rewards, and only 20% has been reserved for the team compensation. That includes team, advisors, and future hires. So we would hope for broad participation, and to enable broad participation of governance, we need to cap that voting at 5%. So regardless of how many tokens somebody holds, they will not actually be able to exercise a vote in excess of 5%. So this keeps the governance fair and equally distributed, and aiming for true decentralization.
What was reported prior was far different from this. Not through you guys.
Shocker.
Of course.
They got it wrong.
Shockers. So I know you guys were waiting.
They had no
to
confirmation and went to the news. Shocker.
So I just want to confirm with you one more time and go over the numbers again, right? If I may.
63%, approximately 63% going to public sale.
63% approximately to a public sale.
Approximately
17% is held for user rewards, which makes sense.
Correct.
Right? Because you need something to give to the people as the platform grows and goes and incentives. And 20% to the team and advisors.
Correct.
Right? And then the rest, That's about
That's all of them.
That's about 100%.
There is
Sorry,
no
we're
more
2 hours
rest.
into a stream. Okay, the tension's been high for the last couple
That
weeks.
is 100%.
That is 100%. So 63, 17, and 20 are the numbers.
Approximately. And I say approximately because there's
one
some
or 2 points here and there. Yeah, I don't want to put you in.
The lawyers are sweating back there.
But it's still important for you to double down on 63% because what was reported and what was told to me before I came here was not that. And this is one of the reasons why, at least my next question, the final question I have for you guys today, then
just to speak to that.
Sure.
There's a lot of things that I've read that are not true. And, there's two ways of handling it, right? We could spend our whole time trying to combat the narrative that's out there. But we all know in crypto, none of that matters. It doesn't matter what people are writing on the internet. All that matters is on-chain activity.
Of course.
All that matters is how many new users sign up for Coinbase, how many new users get MetaMask accounts, how many new users bring liquidity into the space. And that, at the end of the day, is what we will ultimately be judged upon.
Yes.
And that is the only thing we're focusing on. So rather than getting distracted by the articles and the requests for interviews and the hit pieces that they're trying to put out, we are simply focused on building and growing our entire mission.
Got it. And so I guess my last and final question we'll be able to get out, is how did the crypto community respond to the project so far? I'm assuming that post this interview and the final, numbers that you've given us, which were not public until now, that may change. But so far, how's the crypto community could responded to your project?
It's like anything, you're going to have people that accept you. You're going to have people that are jealous of you. You're going to have people that just don't agree with your idea. And all of that is completely fine. The thing that for me has been absolutely incredible is to see the people who I regard as, the leaders in our community, the people that I look up to, the people that I know have been here on the protocols and building things that I use every single day, have all been insanely supportive. And while, we've made a bunch of our advisor announcements, Corey's actually joined the team. We announced Sandy Peng. We announced Luke. We've announced Raphael, like a whole bunch of our really incredible advisors. We aren't even done announcing the incredible people that are involved in the project.
Okay.
And beyond that, we have even more big names that, are working silently, let's say, because they have investors that they need to keep happy or whatever it might be.
Right, you have private advisors.
But if I were to tell you who these people were, you would be blown away. We have massive people who have been very much at the forefront of building the infrastructure that we all run crypto on. And they're all been very supportive.
Right.
They've reached out, they've asked what they can do to help, and it has been an incredible experience. So for me, based on the calls that I get, the messages that I get, and the meetings that I'm in every single day, I can tell you that the crypto community and the people who actually matter in the crypto community have been insanely supportive and understand truly what President Trump and the rest of the Trumps getting involved with this means for the space.
I appreciate you clarifying that, and it's very important for us. Like I told you earlier, everybody's got to kind of earn their spot in this space. It's kind of the other way around, right? No matter who you are. And I feel like this space, even pushing back a little bit on, a Donald Trump and, co and family and you guys project, there's the bad, but there's also the good, right? It's like, hey, show us what you got. Show us the right team members. You have Corey here that's going to make sure this is secure, robust. You obviously clarified the main question that everybody had and their mothers on this, on the tokenomics of this, et cetera. More to come, of course. So with that, I think this is the end of the 2.5 hour stream.
This was scheduled for what, 45 minutes an hour?
I was meant to be 45. I was meant to have President Trump for 15 minutes, but it stayed on for 45, which is really an honor to me.
He started flowing.
I mean, look, it's there. So with that, everybody listening to us on video or on audio, on replay, I'm Farokh from Rug Radio. Thank you for having us.
Please make sure you follow World Liberty Financial official Twitter account, which is co-hosting along with Farokh. Please don't fall for scams. Whether you buy our token or not doesn't matter, but please do not fall for a scam. That is the thing that I really, really do not want to see.
Yeah, so please be careful. Anything that is too good to be true is probably a scam. There's comments under it. There's usually fake DMs, fake everything.
It'll be very clear how to participate in the token sale. And unless you go through the whitelist KYC process, which we will be very clear about how to participate in on our socials, it is not an official project.
I love that. Well, thank you guys. Thank you very much. I do want to extend my personal thank you to the Trump family for having myself on behalf of Rug Radio on the premises of Mar-a-Lago, especially after the horrifying events of yesterday. Thank you very much. I'm Farokh. It's Rug Radio. See you later.